Good morning, traders out there. Welcome back. It's another day here, and guess what? Another turn of events as we hear more from China. And will good old Jerome Powell hint at some rate cuts? We got all that conversation to talk about today. Of course, we'll be having the FOMC conference today, and we'll get the release at 2 p.m., conference at 2:30. That's when the fireworks will come. And we'll be all trying to catch to see what Jerome Powell says about the markets. Will he hint at some rate cuts? We'll have to talk all about that, right? Let's get into it, guys. We'll go to the playbook first. We'll take a look at what plays I'm watching out there. We got a lot of earnings reports to run through in the Sunrise report. So if you guys got an earnings stock you guys want to talk about, throw it up in the chat. There's a lot to talk about. It's good to see you guys out there. Good morning, Vic. Let's get to the action. Let's take a look at the playbook today and see what stocks are moving. And two of these are earning stocks. So let's get to it. First up, the non-earning stock. I'm going to be looking for a long on Archer. We'll see what happens here as it's been hanging out here around the 860 spot here, looking to see if this can really start to get going back through a trend line break. Of course, this has to do with more growth stock outlook than just Archer itself. But I really love the way that the chart is setting up. There's very rare charts that I get excited about. And this is a perfect pattern, right? Patterns that do it and repeated patterns. There's some that I really like. Now we've been into this spot multiple times trying to get up into this space. I think we got to look to see if we can make a move towards 9 and start to break out towards 10 on Archer Aviation. And this has more to do with also looking into growth names today. Will we get a lift? Of course, ARKK is one of my ways of looking at growth indicators. We'll see. Can we get the push today with some backing, of course, of potential good news? We'll see what happens, of course, as we take a look at the SPY, just a peek. We are dipping right now towards 830. We started to get a dip here towards 560s. I think some people were thinking that with the China news, we could see continued liftoff. We'll see what happens. I was also in that camp, so we'll have to take a look to see how the stocks trade towards the open. Let's get to another one on the playbook here, Tempest AI. And I've been taking a look at this one and looking to see if I want to go long on it. I love the setup that we have now. And if you think about it on the weeklies are still looking good. We've come up here multiple times up towards the 80s. We're pretty much between a range between 40 and 80 right now. I'm thinking that we could head back towards that 80. With the report, we'll see if we can actually just hold the 50 support and head back towards that 58 and start to go higher. Tempest AI, not a bad name to keep on the radar. We'll see what happens with this name if it can just keep getting the lift. Earnings report really weren't bad. Growth in all the segments. We'll talk more about it on the Sunrise, but Tempest AI, not a bad name to keep an eye out for. Let's go to one more here as we take a look at different names out in the markets. We're going to go here towards an interesting one like always. Let's get to a Disney long action. Yes, so you guys are hearing me actually call this the long side today. And I talk about how Disney loves to stay within this kind of price range. It did this before, right? When look at the earnings reports, right? So last time we were going into the earnings report, it had bottomed around here in the 84s. And then going into the earnings report, it did that 100 run. Going into the earnings report here, another 100 run. Now, I do think that it's stuck between 120 and pretty much 90. It's been here since 2022. So I don't expect anything really changing here. I think it can get it back above 100, maybe even make it towards 105. Is it going straight back to 120s today? Highly doubt that, but we can watch this to see if we have a green day. Hey, maybe Disney can continue to hang on here. All right, we'll see what happens with these plays, and we'll take a look at the Sunrise report to get into more of the action in the market. Let's go diving in. Let's take a look at what's moving out there and why. All right, team, let's get to the action here, and we'll take a look to see what's going on. But let's go to the Sunrise report. Let's see what we first got to talk about, of course, is the S&P futures were up. Now starting to get down a little bit here. NASDAQ also starting to get hit here. The driver, right? What was actually making us move higher? Well, it was a renewed U.S. and China trade talks in Switzerland. Yes, so the anticipation also today of the Fed interest rates decision at 2 p.m. and 97 chance of no change in rates will also weigh in. Market's expectation is that in the conversation in Switzerland will be more of a de-escalation, not a major deal. At least that was per Treasury Secretary Bassin, and we'll see what happens there. Besant, and we'll see what happens there with what is going on in the markets right now. I think this is more to do with just, hey, like we've talked about, as long as there's not bad news, we are all looking green here. Let's keep it going as we talk some tech earnings and AI earnings. Let's get to it. Let's go to advanced micro devices as AMD has some decent earnings, but they did mention one big caveat. Let's get to the action here. Q1 EPS at 96 cents versus a 94-cent estimate. Revenues at 7.4 billion versus a 7.13 billion estimate. Guidance of 7.4 billion revenue forecast with 43% gross margins. AI chip export controls impacted the results. 800 million in Q1 costs, 700 million in lost revenues expected in Q2. The full year impact, though, $1.5 billion. Yes, you guys heard that right. $1.5 billion for AMD because of the tariffs. And we got to continue to watch to see how this affects the tech game today. I think it's an important one. We really got some information there that we not wanted to see there, right? The AI exports have been talked about also by NVIDIA and how they cost them. Apple, same thing. We're seeing a lot of negative impact because of it. Data center revenue, though, here up 57% year over year at 3.7 billion. So strong sales of their EPYC CPUs and the Instinct GPUs really giving him the lift. Let's move over now to a company that I thought would also disappoint, which was SMCI, and disappointed it did. Here, EPS at a 31-cent adjusted versus a 50-cent estimate. So big miss here on the EPS side of things. Revenues at 4.6 billion versus the 5.42 billion estimate. Guidance missed their Q4 forecast below the street expectation there, and stock impacting down 4% after the results. The headwinds here, the tariffs and GPU cycle transitions and delayed customer commitments there. So that's definitely not what you want to hear. Delayed commitments. So pretty much telling you that demand is dropping off there. There's also auditor turbulence as it issues raised by E&Y by internal review, cleared management. So just keep an eye out to see what happens there. I honestly have big concerns of SMCI. I think this company might disappear. It's not a company that I would touch with a 10-foot pole. And whenever there starts to be this concern, if anything, it's a short to me. We'll see what happens. There's still some money to be made probably on the downside, but I think it was more trying to short this pop into this trend line, and then you would have the hold for the next resistance up, right? That was around the 65. You did get a move to 60 and quickly right back down. All right, we'll keep going here. Let's go over to mobility and transport as we move over to Uber. As of course, you guys know, I've been talking about this as being one of the best companies right now, especially in the price action, taking the hit on the earnings report as the EPS came in at 83 cents, beating the 50-cent estimate. So it was a big beat on EPS. Revenue at 11.53 billion versus an 11.62 billion estimate. So that was down a little bit. But look at the bookings. Bookings in mobility here, 21.18, up 13% year over year. Delivery at 20.38, so up 15%. Platform users up 14% year over year, up to 170 million. Robotaxi, 1.5 million annual run rate. AV trips, Waymo and Austin partnership exceeded the expectations. And there you guys have it. I think this is something that is going to continue to move up. Uber is going to see what? It's going to see their labor price go down and see, of course, more and more autonomous driving. Robo-taxis might take over completely for Uber. Yes, you heard that right. I think that's what's going to happen. I think Uber is going to be one of those first companies that's going to say, hey, let's get rid of all these drivers. We don't need these drivers. We have robo taxis now that can do it all. So, hey, keep an eye out. This company will change fundamentally. And who knows where the value is on Uber? It could be way higher than this, guys. And Uber could be a stock that really rips here and continues ripping higher. This is one of those stocks that I say you watch for a big momentum trend line move. Even though it's expensive, it has story here, and that's what matters. All right, let's keep going out of Uber. Let's move over now. Let's go to one more here. Let's go to Disney. We wanted to talk about their report. Let's get to Disney's here. As Disney reported here, an EPS of $1.45 adjusted versus $1.20 estimate. Revenues at $23.62 billion versus a $23.14 billion estimate. So meeting the revenues there. Disney Plus subscribers at 126 million, up 1.4 million, beating the 123.35 million estimate. So a good beat there on Disney Plus subscribers. If we look at the segments, that's what it's all about with Disney. Direct to consumer was up 8% at 6.12 billion. Entertainment at 10.68 billion, up 9%. And when we talk ESPN and the sports, that was up 5% at 4.53 billion. And the experiences and parks, this is one of the ones that I think is the most important thing here, because a lot of people have been talking about how traveling has been going down. Well, take a look at this number, up 6% year over year with 8.89 billion. Also 2025 EPS guidance raised to 5.75, up 16% year over year. So good mentions here from Disney, pretty much good earnings. Whether you believe it or not, the earnings are there, and that's why it's getting the pop. Tempest AI, of course, one of the ones that will be on the radar for me, reported EPS at 24 cents with a estimate of 27 cents. So a slight miss there on EPS. Revenues, though, at 255.7 versus a 248.1 million estimate. So essentially, nice little beat there, about 7 million on the upside. Growth at 75.4% year over year. So that's looking good. If we look at the key drivers and the segments, genomics was up 88.9%. You heard that right. Oncology testing at 31% and data services at 43%. So really great growth in their key drivers. Their full year guidance raised to 1.25 billion from 1.24 billion, 80% growth there. And a strategic deal mentioned, 200 million licensing and model deal with AstraZeneca and Pathos. So there you guys see it. Good mentions here from Tempest. I think you watched Tempest AI today, and I like RXRX. I'm continuing to watch these to see what happens. RXRX is coming down, but I think Tempest has something to bite here, and I think we got to watch this one to see if it wants to get a big run. Of course, let's go to NVO, as healthcare stocks were really getting the beating yesterday. But this stock is up 7% after optimistic Wegovy update. The FDA ending the compound drug workaround, expected to restore market dominance in the second half. So keep your eyes to see if NVO wants to get the lift again, as it's pulled back, made a full round trip from its 2023 and 2024 gains. So there it goes. There goes those gains. It's a nice haircut. It's below 50%. Is this an opportunity? We'll talk about it with Michael Noss coming up, guys. All right, that's going to do it for our Sunrise report. We can always get into more earnings reports. So if there's a stock that I did not mention or something that you want to talk about, this is your opportunity. Don't forget, you guys run the show also right here on Trade the Pool. Let's keep things going. Let's take a look at what's going on in the chat. What are you guys taking a look at? We'll take a look at some of the small caps. Money Mitch has been on fire. BCUS, ATA, 2 days in a row, calling a big winner. Let's see if we can get one more today. Let's go, guys. What are you guys looking at in the small caps out there? Take a look out there. I see some lists in the chat. What's going on out there? How are we doing? It's good to see you guys. What's up, Eli? How we doing out there? Bell Farms. I'll tell you one thing. I see a nice, what do we got? A sunflower there. Hey, I love it. Actually, getting with the wife, I'm trying to get her to get some sunflowers. Doing a little bit of some growing out here. Like we all need to keep growing, guys. Any news for that deep? We'll see, guys. We'll see what's going on out there, guys. Billy, what's up, man? ASS mergers out. Ooh, that's out there. CrowdStrike definitely on the radar. We'll take what happens out there. It cut 500 jobs. Now, one thing is certain, and I've been seeing this, guys. I've been talking about how AI is affecting cybersecurity. They don't need the amount of jobs that they had. They have AI to help them now. So look to see these stocks actually continue. I think that we got to keep these on the radar. CrowdStrike. You got to keep on PanW. You got to keep on Zscaler. Look at Zscaler's chart. Take a look at this one, guys, and look at this one. Look how it's starting to take off. I think this is a beautiful looking chart here on the monthly and really starting to get the crossover on the monthly. We have a nice trend line break. We have a nice little wick here to scare some traders out. Now it can pull back to 208, but I don't think you're even going to get an opportunity to that. I think maybe you get an opportunity to the weekly 213s at some point. But for right now, this stock's on full breakout mode, and I'm interested, guys. I'm interested. So keep these on the radar. The cybersecurity names definitely could be seeing a bigger lift. So CrowdStrike, man, I still remember when this one went down to 100. What an opportunity. This thing right back up there to 424s and continuing to go. And if you guys don't know, I still remember when I first started trading, just about 1 year in, is when this company IPO'd, and I saw this company trade at $55 one time when I wanted to buy it, and I will always look back and be a little bit amazed. 513%. This is why we have to sometimes take a shot on a new company. An investment stakes, right? Well, we'll talk more about that with my man, Michael Noss, as we keep things going, but a good one there to keep watch out for. Billy, what are you taking a look at out there? Some small caps? Let's take a look at that action out there. GPUS getting a little lift there. Let me go to my scanner here, guys. So I have a little scanner. It's a high day scanner, guys. It's a one that I built. I can share the code with you guys if you guys want to take a look at the code. But essentially, I'm looking at stocks that are up 5%. And then what I'm looking for is to see if some of these are starting to pull back. So let's go taking a look at that. This is exactly how I find these, guys. Here's a shipper getting a move, guys. This one's interesting. NCEW got a huge move when this one popped to $7. Now it's all the way back to $3.45. It's nothing that I'm going to watch right now, but if it can get back above VWAP, back above 4, this is not a bad one to keep an eye out for. We'll take a look at some of those other names that you guys are watching for. MLGO on the radar out there. I see mentioned in the chat. Well, this one is just doing a little pop, trying to get these shorts out. I don't think it's going anywhere near back to where it was up here in the 30s. So for me, MLGO and GPUS is pretty much a no touch. GPUS a little bit better because it's recent. But for me, MLGO, definitely. I shorted that thing. So I'd be keeping an eye on GPUS. I don't expect it to fill the gap. I think it went right here to this resistance on the 626 and probably just continues to fade down. I could see this more as a fade than a ripper, but hey, to each his own, right? We'll see what happens there. And Disney, new park in Dubai. Great mention there, Billy. I forgot about to mention that. I did catch it, but just didn't mention it. Good mention. I love you in the chat, man. Keep it going. It's good to see you guys talking in the chat, and it's good to catch some other action. I see other mentions out there on some, looks like some Forex mentions. Golden Bear. It's good to see you guys out there. Let's keep it going, guys. All right, we'll take a look at some other action in the market. We got about 5 minutes till Michael Noss joins here. So we can take a look at some sectors. We can take a look at different stocks, how they're performing. And I think that we could take a look also at how's gold doing this morning. GOLD starting to pull back a little bit. It did get a little bounce back. Remember how I told you, what was I looking for in gold? I was looking for a quick move back towards a squeeze opportunity where if you got short on this day and you thought you had it, now you get the attempted move right back through your level and you get stopped out like you were yesterday. I thought GLD could get that up move, and boy, oh boy, did I miss this little swing trade. This was a swing trade. I don't think it was a day trade. Maybe yesterday a day trade action, but really it was a good swing trade. And I talked about that with AU. AU did do the same move. It just was harder to get after, right? Right back up, but it didn't get all the way back towards that 46. that's something to keep in mind. But definitely GLD getting back up there. We'll see what happens with silver. As silver's been kind of sideways here. Can silver get a little bit of a lift? We'll have to keep an eye on that. And you guys know I've been watching some steel plays as of late. Steel Dynamics was one that I had on the radar just a few while ago. It did a throwback look. It did a rip up above here, pull back, now starting to get a move. I think this is definitely one to keep on the radar here that could be getting a continued move. This is a good swing trade alert as we continue talking about different types of action in swings. Why is it a swing? Because it doesn't move as much. You can still day trade this, but of course, it's not going to move in an insane amount. Like, let's take a look at the ATR. ATR is about $2 on an hour. On the daily, about $4. So it's not the worst. It's just you got to learn how to trade this a little bit. Be careful with the spread also in Steel Dynamics. You got to make sure you're getting in maybe a ladder approach, or making sure that you're getting kind of a bid entrance, right? Not an offer entrance, not trying to jump at this stock, waiting for it to come to you. All right, we'll keep it going here. We'll take a look at some different stock trading action out there. I'm going to my scanner too here to see if there's anything else. I have another scanner that I use on Benzinga Pro to catch some of these big moves. Here's that stock right now, just getting the lift. NCEW, I talked about how that one kept moving out there, and it looks like this one's now starting to move a little bit here. So keep your eyes on this one. This seems like the top watch today, guys. And do I trade Forex? No, unfortunately, I do not, son. But I do trade the Qs, and of course, you guys can focus on that if you guys trade kind of some futures contracts, maybe some minis, and things like that. But that's what I would take a look at. If you want me to take a look at maybe the TLT, different things out there, I can take a look into. But do I trade specifically Forex? Not going to see it too much in here. But of course, we do more equities. We're trade the pool where we got stocks. And so if you want to take a look at stocks, hey, check them out. Maybe it's something better than Forex. All right, guys, we'll see what happened out there. Would love the info on the scanner for the small caps. Yeah, which one? Which one? Is it the TC scanner or the Benzinga Pro scanner, right? Because there's multiple. I have this scanner that can just kind of make it easy. This one's from Benzinga Pro. And what I'm doing here is not really doing anything that's crazy scanning wise. What it's doing here, it's just looking at percentage change, right? So I'm looking at the previous close, right? The change from the previous close, and I'm looking at change in 5 minutes. So as long as this is up more than like 20% on the day, then I'm up, let's say 5% or a little bit under that on the 5 minute. And on the 15-minute, I want to just see that it's green, right? And then I'm looking for, a lot of times, what am I watching for? I'm watching for pre-market volume. I need it to be at least close to 1 million. And those are the ones that I'm going to find as the hot ones. So another one that could be in play today is this TOVX. Probably a little bit better looking than even right now. So let's take a look at that one, TOVX. And you can see how that one's pulling back to this $2 spot. We can take a look at the hourly. You can see it's a nice hourly long pullback, kind of holding in between these levels. So as long as it doesn't break kind of the 176, you're still in a kind of bullish trend. You could still get a little bit of a pullback here, and then the lift higher back through 2. I draw a trend line based on these wicks and look to see if we can approach that, right? When can we make a move towards that? Are we going to make a move towards 176 first? Could still be in play. We'll see what happens there on TOVX. And definitely, I can share also the coding for the TC scanner. And I have, it literally uses a code here that I made this with. So I can share it with you guys. I'm trying to edit it too to make it even a little bit better, right? And it's just a scanner that tries to distinguish which one of these looks good. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get one that has a nice little break to the upside, at least 5%, and then pulling back some. So we'll see what happens with this one, as it gives me just a couple of names, right? And that's what I like too. It's not giving me a million names here. It's kind of distinguishing which ones to really look at, right? And it doesn't do that bad. It really doesn't do that bad. So I can even keep this up. But the key is I need to refresh this one, because if not, I need to pay like another layer on TC 2000, and it's just like to pay $60 for it to refresh. I don't think it's worth it for me. But all right, enough of that action. Enough of my scanner talk. Let's get right to the actual show. Let's see what we can do today, guys. It's going to be another great one here. Of course, we got some China news coming into play. That's getting a little bit of some lift, but the market kind of running into a little bit of some altitude. We'll talk about it more with Michael Noss. Let's get right to the action. It's, of course, Trade the Pool. Start that countdown. Trading time. Let's go. Wants 200, baby. You ready to get back to the trading action?
You aim, you shoot, and make money.
It's going to be a great day. You guys know where you're at. What up, traders? Let's go ahead. Let's bring on the man himself, Michael Noss. What's up? How we doing, my friend?
Oh, we're doing well. Just getting ready for another hopefully interesting day in the market, but part of me thinks not so much, right? Part of me thinks we're going to be in a holding period for this morning, so it's going to be important, I think, and I'm reminding you guys that.
No, don't tell me that. Don't tell me that, Michael. I want to trade. I want to trade.
Well, you can trade. I think my game plan is just going to be do it quick, right? In and out, right?
Yeah. It's one of those days where, it'd be odd to see crazy continuation, right? Whether that be to the downside or not, right? And the big thing there, too, is that nobody expects negativity from Jerome Powell today. And I think that's another thing. A lot of the expectations from the FOMC, no one's expecting a rate cut. Like, that would just literally be the biggest curveball ever, I think, in financial history.
You could make... cut. If it's Kalshi's got a 1% odd, so that means if you put in $1 and they cut rates, it turns into $100. So part of me just wants to throw $100 just for the complete and utter. Right? You throw $100 in, you don't go to Starbucks next week if it doesn't.
That sounds like a lotto to me. That sounds like when you walk in the gas station and you buy a lotto ticket. So hey. Who knows?
100 extra money because of the memes, of course. I've noticed. I'm not like watching the betting markets.
I would do more. I'm a little bit higher risk to return. I would probably go up to the 10 times that. I'd be like, all right, little $10 could possibly be $1,000. I mean, that's not a bad bet. That's not a bad bet.
$1,000.
I'll tell you one thing. I do sports parlays like that all the time.
I am very interested in these betting markets, not just for fun like that, right? Throw $10 in and then whatever. But I know they predicted the U.S. election perfectly, and they predicted our Canadian election pretty perfectly as well. I haven't followed the rest of the world, but I'm super interested. It's going to be a while till I get enough data.
It's a crazy game.
They're going into the financial markets, so what we can start to do is like, will XYZ company beat earnings? And then you look at the betting markets, and then there might be a bet on the other side. So to me, I'm looking at it as a potential alternative data source that didn't exist before with markets. And as we know with markets, when a new data source shows up, there's a whole lot of edge for a couple of years, and then that edge gets arbitraged out, and that's fine. But it's very rare we see something like this that's this predictive so far. So yeah, and then hey, at what point? What does it stop J Powell taking a little crypto? Throwing it into like a poly market account. Put 10 grand in there, lower interest rates. Like the one that I tweeted that was hilarious is there was a 3% chance that Warren Buffett was going to fart audibly during the Berkshire Hathaway. I'm like, for that amount of money, I'm taking the bet and I'm feeding the guy beans if I know him. I'm getting him railed up and ready to go. Because a 3% chance, it means 100% payout. So that's what, 30 something times your money in a very brief period of time.
I'll tell you one thing: these odds, guys. There's something unbelievable, guys. If you're ever been into the sports market or something like that, I can tell you without a doubt, it blows my mind sometimes how good they are, Michael. This is why I don't mess with spreads in sports betting. I don't mind taking spreads if you think the let's say maybe the underdog's going to win or something like that. But I'll tell you right now, the spread game is just like the market game with, like, let's say implied volatility, and the options markets. They're really good at nailing you in the earnings. If you think you're going to nail the earnings in the options market, well,
Right.
you might really have a rude awakening. You might have had the right direction and still lost. And that's when
Oh,
it gets
that's
tough, right?
yeah, that's stuff that you can study for years, right? It's a very profitable strategy just to bet with them and to sell straddles
Yeah.
into earnings event every now and then, right? It's one of those is it's you're kind of the casino at that point.
Yeah.
You're going to get slapped, but you just keep consistently. I
You've
know,
got the odds on your side, right? That's what Tasty Trades is all about. I mean,
yeah,
there's a
I know
whole
a bunch of
platform.
traders that do it. They
There's a whole
do, and
platform specifically on it, right? I mean, and that's what I first studied, guys. When I first came in, that's where I was. I was like a Tasty Trade fanatic. I was all about
mhm,
it. And then I realized, Mitch, you don't have this money to sell all these
right.
options. The truth is that you can do it, but you need a lot of money, a
You
lot
need
of money.
Yeah, you need a bankroll because yeah, like we mentioned, if you're going to get into this game, every now and then you have an earnings that is a 10 sigma event, and you're paying out 10 times what you were looking to make as a bet. So what you're trying to do is you right law of large numbers, spread out your bet across many things. There's a lot of things to be taken away from day trading with it, but it's one of those. It's a great strategy, but yeah, you need a big bankroll, and you need to be okay with every now and then something's going to come along and take like 2 months of gains from you, and just bop you one, and then you're back to square one. But again, that's every trading strategy. We talked about this a little bit with trend following yesterday. Every trading strategy that is great hurts at some point, right? There's
Yeah.
some. If it was easy, right, everyone would do it, right?
Yeah, exactly, guys. I mean, that's just the way things go. I think it's all about like we talk about it all the time. It's how accurate do you want to be, right? And what accuracy percentage makes sense for you that could also determine your risk to return and how you go about these plays. Get a good question here from It Ain't Me. How's the funded account going, Money Mitch? The market's been chopping me up personally, stated here, and the funded account is gone. It's gone. It's bye-bye. It faded away, but we'll get another one. And that's what it's all about, man. Just continuing the battle, right? I think, it was a smaller account and it kind of limited me. And then I just started getting to the point where I just started to push, right? And I think that that's what happens a lot of the times when you have a small limited account. You end up trying to over push. And you usually do this on the wrong side of your equity curve, right? And that's what the hard part is, right? It's okay to hit the gas pedal. And I talk about this all the time when things are working for you, right? And that's the
Mhm.
hard thing, I think. And that's what really defines the best day traders. They know when to use their buying power and when not to use their buying power. It's not just always just a consistent buying power. I think I've seen in the best day traders, some really know like this is a good day. This is the day I got to start making money and not just make a
Mhm.
little money, but really expand that equity curve, right? And that's when you're hitting the gas pedal. But a lot of traders have a tendency of hitting the gas pedal when their equity curve's on a downturn, when they've maybe run into a hard loss, right? So they're trying to get that equity curve to go right back to where they were. And that can always be that recipe for disaster and something that we can all learn from. Let's get to the
You
market.
know, yeah, just to follow up on that, I
Yeah.
know a lot of systematic traders who plot a moving average against their equity curve, and as soon as it breaks the moving average, they move back to paper trading and until it makes a new high. So yeah, that's for everyone, systematic and discretionary. It's
It's
yeah,
so
there's
important, man. And you got to
times.
look at your equity curve, right? I think it's important. Some people like don't even look at it, right? And then they start realizing the key is the game is to keep that equity curve going, right? And so
Mhm.
limiting that those quick sweeps, right? And that's just what it's all about, man. Especially if you're going to be here for a long period of time. We always say that you can run into the good trade, right? What you can't do is keep taking those bad ones, guys. So let's
Yeah.
get to the markets itself here. Throwing up your charts. What are you looking at, Michael? We'll get to
Um,
some of the stocks that you're looking at, and then we can maybe take a look at some plays right before the open here. I'll let you take away.
Baba, I guess Baba's I've got on here
Baba.
for a potential VWAP fade higher. Again, I don't know why. Like it's one of these things intuitively. I'm not excited about playing these Chinese names, these foreign names inside of this strategy, because they gap all the time, because most of the trading's done on the other side of the world. However, when I look at my stats, just like we were talking about, the one thing, if you take nothing away from me, is journal your trades, right? Know your statistics. And for some reason, they work. And I don't know if it's just because China's been hot and in play recently. But yeah, this is something I'm watching here with Baba. But I've got a whole list we can go through. It's a massive list for this more fully automated trading strategy that I'm going to be playing with once we get fully automated systems in. But SP 500, big gap up. Look at this monster candle. I'm sure you covered this. This was the we're finally talking to China candle, and we've been fading ever since then. So
but hold on. If I pull up the tweets, they've been talking to China for 3 weeks.
I know. It's like, but for real this time, guys. For real, we're doing it. We got a meeting on the books. Like, it's for real.
You know it's real when it's in Switzerland.
Yeah.
When they're like, we're not going to meet you in the United States. We're not going to Beijing. We're going to meet you halfway. You go halfway, we go halfway. We'll meet you in Switzerland.
Man, the Swiss got it figured out, right? They never get in. They're the neutral. They never get in any party. Just imagine how much money
they just want to be the place to hold these events, man.
We will take all of your cash in here. We have all of your money that we're making interest off of, and then anytime there's an event and you're going to spend millions of dollars flying world leaders in, we'll do that too. And then we'll just stay out of all the drama. It makes me want to move there, right? They just seem like we'll stay out of all your crap. And
it's almost like there's some really good hotel deals or something. Like if they're like, yeah, you hold an event here, we hold it for free.
Yeah. And in return, we want trillions of dollars of foreign money that we just promised not to get involved in any wars with, right? Just
exactly
brilliant.
That's it.
Shows you the power of
it's always you guys go hide your money here in our country. We want it in our bank, in those Swiss banks, dude. That Swiss bank account, man. I don't know about you guys, but hopefully one day a Swiss bank account, please out there.
Yeah,
let's keep going, my friend. What you seeing out there? What you think about some of these earnings reports that came in? We got AMD, Tempest, Uber, Disney. Anything catch you by surprise or something?
Well, Disney going up always catches me by surprise. I think it's a rarity for it. But yeah, so we're right in the middle of the range here. And the big thing in the SP 500 that I'm watching is a 2-day VWAP. We are right down to that point right now. So could be interesting if we hold that and start going, as we talked to our boy Kenny yesterday, right? If we hold this and go back through, because I do think this caught a lot of people off guard, right? So there could be some shorts that are a little bit covered, but I just want to go to the daily chart and just show, right? We are still in this really choppy kind of 5-day range and right in the middle of it with FOMC coming up. So in the middle of a range, the body of the last 5-day candles have been near nothing. So just be careful there as well. But yeah, it's going on. But yeah, I've got
one thing that's a little bit scary, I think, is that I thought, and I'm just saying, just based on the news, the headline, I thought that we'd be closer to breaking 567 today than hanging out at 560s here where we are. So just to put it out there, I don't know. I think this is still leaving room, not like for a major pullback today, but definitely not as bullish as I thought I'd come into seeing with the China talks being on the table, right?
Well, another thing to keep in mind, right? We just talked about betting with the market makers when it comes to selling options. They do that for earnings events is a big thing. Yeah. They also do it on FOMC meetings, right? So there's a lot of money that is always on the table for keeping the market in a tight range going into FOMC and then having it not explode going in, because volatility is always increased going to an FOMC meeting when it comes to these options. So yeah, it's one of those you're really battling the market makers if you're trying to have an outside move, especially in the morning, because you better believe they've been selling calls above and selling puts below, and they very much want a muted FOMC, which again, if he does, that 1% chance that he does lower rates would be the most hilarious thing in the world. But yeah, Disney, the gap up's been amazing because look at this stock, right? Buying it at $80 has been a move for a while now. Overall, this is just junk compared to what we've seen the rest of the world. The 2021 highs, we never got anywhere close to that at 200. So we're still in a 50% drawdown, and it was way worse even just a little bit ago. Down to 60% drawdown for one of the largest companies out there. That's a big deal, but gapping up pretty well. And so this is obviously on the short list for me today because look at it, just can never break VWAP all morning. Hit VWAP twice. Buyers came in, buyers came in, buyers came in. So a breakdown under VWAP, to me, that's a shortable event. So I've got that on the short list to the 2-day VWAP, which would still be a great day, but a nice little breakout there. What else do I've got on watch? Marvell, I think, yeah. So this is just, more in the semi space. The semi space a little bit out of favor. Gapping down a little bit, but somewhat near some support area, so it might be a place that people pick it up. So again, looking for those green arrow buys on Marvell. NBIS, no idea what this guy is, but came into the list there. Pretty ugly. That's now gapping up, so this could be something that could potentially be faded. Right? You can see how much of a drawdown this thing's in. So this seems like a sell the rip type of stock, so I'm watching that. And SMCX, because I'm watching SMCI. Massive sell off on this one. This is something that I'm never going to touch for more than a day trade, because this is just, as soon as the DOJ gets involved, I'm out. But could be a nice little day trade if we end up getting, because even from this VWAP to that VWAP is $2, right? So give me my $2 and I'm going home. But yeah, just a more busy list than normal, and which is unfortunate. Upstart was the other one as well, which I always, every time I see this, I always feel bad for Mark Manvini CNBC interview. She probably regrets that one in the shower till the end of time. It's holding support. It's under VWAP for the day, but it's been holding support from the pre-market as of yesterday. So if it can get above this range, the 2-day VWAP is $6 above, which would be great, but just looking for, I don't think I would hold for that much. Just give me a little bit out of that.
Yeah, we got some insights on lending and kind of deals there. So Upstart a lot of times has a tendency of running also with a firm. A firm's on the radar today, guys. There was news out of the White House of an executive order that essentially is giving a firm essentially something that they wanted to fight for, which is making buy now, pay later essentially not according to the laws of credit card lenders. So they essentially were falling under that credit card lender rules, were essential rules to keep and do safety, right? Protect the financial markets, right? Well, Trump just took that off. So he's pretty much allowing them not to abide by those rules. That was a rule that was given by the Biden administration to buy now and pay later processors. So this is something that I think you got to keep an eye out for. This could essentially cause more deals to happen at a firm, but at the same time, open them up to more risk in the long run. So I think this is an interesting story. I still think in the long run, we're going to come to one day sooner or later down the line when this buy now, pay later thing really erupts and causes some real financial crisis. But for right now, I think a firm could actually get an up move off of this. So keep an eye out. This is also another company that has an inverse head and shoulders pattern.
Yeah, and so if my Upstart works, then a firm will probably work as well. Yeah, Upstart feels like should be one of those that has a leverage thing, but I couldn't find one.
Nah, I don't think they have it.
That's what, but like, give me leverage stuff on, like, I don't know, the slow stuff. Don't give me leverage stuff on the crazy names out there.
That's what they want, my friend.
Oh, just saw that I messed that up. Let me change that real quick.
There should be a lending ETF that has these both, right? I mean, right? Like, is there an ETF that holds like Visa, MasterCard, Upstart, Affirm?
Because to be honest, right?
Let's start it,
These,
Michael. That could be a good one.
yeah, because these guys have, they have a bad name of the buy now, pay later stuff. But I don't know. I was looking at when I bought this MacBook like a year or so ago. There's just an affirm option right there. I was tempted. Right? The interest rate wasn't that high, and when I'm buying, like, this thing's a monster. It was like 7K. And part of me is like, do I split that up over? It was a better rate than putting it on my credit card, so it was super interesting to.
No, it is, and I mean, Amazon followed in their footsteps for let's say. If you use Amazon a lot, you have to be one of these that have Prime and use it often. Like, let's say, like I do, I use this thing like no others, right? And so I actually get offers. I get offers to buy products and split the payment with zero interest through Amazon. I still get the Affirm mentions there too, and they're both available to me. But sometimes I get those, and I'm like, so hold on, I can buy this with zero interest and split it out. I had to take it on certain products. I'm like, there's just no point. There's really no point. I mean, you give me 3 or 4 months to pay for something that costs $1,000. It's a lot easier to take the hit, right?
And just mathematically, right? Like, what can, especially us as traders and investors, if I'm buying something worth 10 grand and I can split it up over 2 years at zero interest, well, that couple grand is going to more than pay for the monthly payments, right? So I'm gonna
get some dads into trouble here. The TVs, a lot of them are like that right now. So watch out.
I need a new one, man. My TV's just
I want to get one of those over 100-inch screens.
Ooh, I was looking at a projector too. Because I've got
laser projectors. The laser projectors are good, but you got to have a dark room for them still. Like, if it's for your living room, it might make sense more for the actual TV. Someday soon, the laser projectors gonna kill it, guys. Gonna kill it.
I'm excited because the amount of Paw Patrol that my TV has seen has just burnt everything into the. I'm just waiting to wake up one day. I had an old plasma where they can actually have burn it. Someday it's just going to be like one of those dogs' faces just burnt right into the TV.
Real dad talk out there today, guys. As Disney's going higher, guys. Remember I said that Disney might break 100? We'll take a look right now.
Does Disney do Paw Patrol? Because I might just I'll go all in the amount of money I've given to those damn dogs.
Of course, my friend. And you know what also is on there? Bluey. Bluey's mine, man. I'd be watching Bluey all the time, man. Nothing like I actually have an Australian healer, cattle dog, so it kind of goes. It makes sense.
Yeah. Someone's saying WW bad news. Not just bad news; they're gone. They official bankruptcy today. So this is something that should be.
Weight Watchers disappearing? No way. No way.
They've hinted to bankruptcy a whole bunch of times. And I don't know if this is one of those that Wall Street Bets is going to try to come save, but how do you compete with, like?
Oh no, it could spike back to $1 just to mess with people. But you don't bet on a company like this, guys.
I'm specifically talking to the Bed Bath and Beyond crowd, right? That this is still out there thinking they're going to make some money back. Is like, this is. Yeah, it's gone. It was an official, because before it was one of those, are they going to do Chapter 11, which means that they're trying to restructure debt and come back in some respects. Equity holders are still wiped out in that scenario, but I think they're doing the close the doors, shut it down, sell the assets.
They thought the weight loss drugs was going to save Weight Watchers. I remember this, and I remember it popping on these headlines, and I was like, man, these are those ones where there's very rare companies that I feel like shorting to disaster. Yeah, this is one of those that could be in that book, right? It's like Beyond Meat. Someday, I expect the same headline to come in, guys. Sooner or later, bye-bye, Beyond Meat. It's just like this, guys.
Well, and that's just right. It's the nature of the market, and as capitalists and traders, this is what we want to have happen. I read somewhere that Weight Watchers' failure rate was 95%. So you went to Weight Watchers, there was a 95% chance you didn't lose any weight, and then Ozempic comes along.
95% chance you gain weight.
Well, Ozempic comes along, and it's like a 95% chance you lose weight. So it's like, which of those do you want to play with, right? If you're someone
Yeah,
out there
man,
who can
it's
just
crazy. The
be
whole
good
the
and
whole weight loss generation, let's say, that's coming out of this is something else. And then another thing is just we don't even need to get into it, but I think that the psychological effects that these drugs are also having on people are something else too. I've heard a lot of negative psychological reactions to these weight loss drugs. So we'll see what happens in the long run with these.
yeah,
And
it's one of
also
those.
in a FDA right now that we have is not looking towards approving more of these pharmaceutical drugs. Did you see the
Right.
disaster yesterday in health? We can't get into the market without mentioning the disaster that happened yesterday in health. It was
Mm,
ugly. And this chart
yeah, and
looks ugly.
looks very, very bear flag. And yesterday would have confirmed a bear flag breakdown, right? So we had the head and shoulders there. Again, I got the anchored VWAPs from all-time highs, guys. Super important. And then ever since then, it's just been trying to rip and just kind of failing miserably. So a lot of this, I think, was UNH continued disaster, right? That, like, look at this thing. So this was the earnings gap down. I was on a stock twits thing or something. There's a lot of people asking questions. I'm like, this reminds me of Boeing. Like, remember when Boeing, when the doors started blowing off the planes and stuff? It's like
Facts.
eventually UNH is going to be a buy, right? They're not going anywhere. But there's such a big component in healthcare. Like, there's like 13 or 14% of the healthcare index, and this chart is just not a chart I want to buy because it's gap down on earnings and then no relief. No one has stepped in to say this is a little bit overdone. Maybe we should buy something up. None of this, just new lows, new lows, new lows. And then yesterday, a new closing low again. And I would be shocked if it holds this 393. So yeah, just bad when it comes to UNH. If this guy can't recover, then you're not going to have healthcare do well. Because again, you can look up the components, but this is a huge part of UNH. And with that, a lot of other things are getting pulled, right? And I think Eli Lilly, because I own some of this, that was down pretty big yesterday as well. I bought some of this, just a monthly rotation strategy I have at the beginning of the month. So I'm already down nicely on that one. But yeah, it's the sector isn't doing well, and it's really getting targeted by the providers, right? The guys who are trying to provide the insurance to you guys down there, which is just a whole thing that I don't understand because we don't have that up here. But yeah, UNH, there's a couple other these health insurance guys that are just getting killed. And then you zoom out in the long-term chart, and that is a long-term support that has been broken. You're going back here all the way to 2022, and it's bounced off that support a bunch, and it gave that up. So unless that can recover, and that's recovering like 450 really quickly, then this thing could be a whole stage 4 accumulation, could be a downtrend to like the 200s or something. So again, eventually it's going to be a good buy. I'm not that kind of guy to just try to pick the bottom there.
Yeah, I think one of the things that, of course, is being affected about this is cuts to Medicaid, cuts to health cost, and things like that. I think the outlook is just overall a negative there. The prices just keep going higher, right? In all of these kind of drugs, services, whether they be health and things like that. So we'll see what happens, guys. Market's open. Let's have some fun. Let's go get after it, guys. One stock on my radar, HIMS. We'll see what happens if we get a little bit of some pullback to maybe go on a quick side short and then long. I would like to long HIMS into support, but that's down to 47 here. Could see a knockdown from the 48 to the 47 here. It's hit 48 a couple of times here. I'm going to go for it here. Let's see if I can get it. I'm trying to get the entry here. The key is the bid is moving all over the place. There you go. I got an entry there, guys. Short a little bit here on HIMS. Going to risk off the 48 here. Just about $40 risk there. There's the cut through down. Now we're looking a lot better, at least into the green here on HIMS. There we go. Good action on that first move down there, guys. I'm going to go ahead and set a stop here at $50 here, but I could just take the cash here. We'll take the cash on the next action here. Boom. Oh, I came back real quickly. Got the stop there. So a nice little trade to start it off here. $50 into the green there with HIMS. Gonna look to see if maybe I get it to get back at 48s here, but gonna let it reject the 48 first.
FYI, while you're doing that, I took a little upstart here. So it triggered right before the market open, but I just saw price action kind of come through this 43.50, so the high of that spike. So I just got involved there. I'll put my stop in the low here, the 42.30s. And again, the ultimate target's $48 with a 2-day VWAP, but that's a little bit lofty for me. So knowing me, I'll be out well before then. SPY did a little dip and rip right off the open, right? It did a little jump down, and now it looks like we're coming back up. We got VWAP at 560, so it'll be interesting to see what happens when we get there. But a little undercut rally.
Dude, it looks like I took that off literally. You ready for this? 3 seconds too early. Oh man, that sucks, guys. That sucks.
Oh, for the
didn't get the profits on that. Oh, that just sucks. All right, well, just got to get refocused there because at least HIMS went up there, right? It was a good stop out, but at the same time, should have been able to take the cash there. Three seconds just sucks. So yeah, no cash made there, but we'll see what happens out there, guys. NCEW starting to get the lift there. For me, what that one needs to hit is at least VWAP for me to start getting interested. Let's see if that gets to VWAP. But for me, VWAP is way higher than where we are right now. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, just watching here again. HIMS did that little dip and rip, but so is the whole market. So I'm just watching my upstart, which is just kind of battling here. A nice little push up from where I got it. I'm going to look to probably take some off the table here just because I am a wuss, and then we'll probably see it run to target after I take some off. So yeah, so I just half the position off there, and we'll wait to see what happens if we can get to target. So one of those now that I can just put my stop below the day. If I get stopped out, it was a break-even trade, and that just gives me the confidence to hold here for a little bit in this one. So great solid look there.
ASST, the best small stock out there. I think it's on a halt towards 189, so we'll see what happens on that. HIMS, man, that 43 by yesterday. Oh, good Lord.
I am in. I talked about this yesterday, right? The swing trade I took was just right at this line. Again, fully systematic. So this is the first trend following setup that I have done in months that has actually come from my trend following system. So really great look there. So there's this NBIS that I talked about.
This could be a big lift off, right? Another thing that I think is very important is to see what volume increase, guys. This is the strongest volume this stock has had ever is HIMS. So that's a good sign, guys. That's what you want to see. If you're looking for momentum, you're going to need momentum to keep it going. Traded what? 163 million shares yesterday. I'll tell you right now, the moving average on this in the 50 moving average for the volume is 30 mil. So you're trading 3-4 times the amount of average volume.
And that's not even including this the leveraged product, right?
Not even including all that, right?
So MBIS triggered short here. So I took some of that short. You can see again the blue arrow came through here. No idea what this one does, but I think it's a foreign company. So I took this one way smaller. I don't know why. It just doesn't feel good. But anyway, the target's 25.50 there as well. So we're going to take a look at that. And then some of these coming through on ICLR. Again, this is something I will talk about soon, hopefully. I'm in the paper trading part of this, the testing side of these kind of systematic day trades that will be part of what I do over my website here. But yeah, MBIS not working out too well so far, but we'll see. Upstart is doing, wait for it to load. Yeah, it's doing okay, right? I took off half the position around here. Looked like an idiot for a second. Now I feel a little bit better, but obviously with the other half, I need to have it grind up over time. And again, the 2-day VWAP's obviously the target, right?
Yeah, that Pony AI looking good. I agree. That's a good one to watch, guys. Nice hourly long pullback, move back above the VWAP. Looks good. That looks like the strategy that we talked about with Kenny yesterday. Holding the VWAP now. Interesting one on Pony.
Well, and look right where it stopped, right? Right at the 2-day VWAP. So to almost to the tick, 2-day VWAP was 1260 and it went to 1250 before it reversed. So yeah, that would definitely be a Kenny trade that he loves, is that pull into the 2-day VWAP and then break above the 1-day VWAP, which is, again, the next strategy. Once I get this one fully systemized, auto trade it. Again, I'm going to take that $200,000 account once we can get that and just let that go on rails and then build the next strategy here as well, right?
Looking really good here for the break of the 1360s on Pony. I hesitated a little bit there. I was looking to buy it there at the 1340s, but it moved fast to the 1360 here. There's the break, now 1366. So good move there on Pony. Good mention in the chat. Now you got the rip, and this is one that, of course, had mentions with, of course, Uber, Robotaxi. It's pushing well. And, of course, when you mention a stock like Uber in a time like we are now, this is definitely one that I'd keep on the radar.
Yeah, so the SPY here, another dip and rip so far. Again, this is the action that we're seeing. That's why I was really, really quick on my HIMs, regardless whether that works out or not. That was my plan going in. Anytime I basically see green on the screen at all, I want to take it, because this is pre-FOMC. I talked about it when I used to day trade for a living. I would just take these days off. Generally speaking, what you can get is maybe a first half hour, maybe an hour of some action, and then the market just kind of dries up while people are like, hey, it doesn't make sense for me to take a big bet now when I know there's this big event coming up in just a few minutes. So same thing going on with NBIS. I'm now up a little bit on it, so I'm looking to potentially take some right here and just do the same thing, just scalp mode when the market's wild like this. So
all right, guys, getting some pullback in the market. Market's not going as green as some of the growth stocks that I've seen around there. Palantir really pushing to the upside. HIM's pushing. We'll see what happens with these if they can keep running. Tempest been really on a fast pullback back towards the pre-market low or after hours low. We'll see what happens on that one. That one's still getting dragged out there. Starbucks that was strong yesterday getting dragged right back down. So just looking around out there, guys. What do you guys got? Palantir pop, of course, Billy mentioning it. There's the 110 now for Palantir. Big rip today, guys, in that name. HIM's still holding on here, now pushing right back, 49.50s. It could get to the 50 spot. That's where the resistance is right now. We'll see what happens there if it gets to that spot. I think it's just kind of hanging in there. Did get that undercut buy around the 48s.
yeah, nice little push up there as well. So
Uber pulling back to the 80s, so definitely seeing some pullbacks on some of the names that were at the all-time highs. AMD, a fake out to the upside, then pulling right back down. NVIDIA in the red there, looking around out there, guys. Big stocks are dragging. Apple down. Microsoft still down also. We'll see if it can lift above the 435s. That could be a good move, but big cap names not looking the best. Amazon, nice lift there. I can catch from the heat map and just look at the stock, and it's a nice push, guys. Back to 188.
Palantir up pretty good too. Disney, Disney. I was just shocked to see Disney in the green. I'm just not conditioned for that. So, but yeah, this HIMS chart actually looks great. It's just basing not only a hit VWAP twice and holding that, but it's also just basing right under the highs of the pre-market yesterday or the post-market yesterday. This $50. There we go. We go through that now. 50 to kind of 50-50. Seems like a pretty interesting trade there.
Shopify ripping, of course, with that Amazon move. It looks good there, guys. I'm a little lagging to it. 95.30s to 95.70s. I just watched it happen. It's starting to push. It could get to that 96 there. We'll see what happens in Shopify. There's 96 there. Boom. quick action today, guys.
Yeah, that's move, spot move. Let's looking here at the SPY. Again, we are reversing pretty well here. So, right, so we dipped. Now we are trying to attempt at VWAP for the second time today. If we can kind of close above here, that might be an interesting buy. So I'm actually going to load up my SPXL. NBIS, I took a little bit off of to the short side, and now it just, if it breaks VWAP, I think I'll be out on this one. So, but yeah, I'm looking at SPXL to potentially just take a little buy here.
Yeah, Palantir doing a very similar move that HIMS did yesterday. So I'll look for a very similar pattern, right? That was a move back below VWAP, slightly below, and then catching back. Palantir straight move up out the gates like HIMS yesterday. Started to see Tempest start to come back a little bit there. Want to see if that one can get back above VWAP. That's going to be a stock that I'll be watching around 51.
Yeah, so I took a little bit of SPXL there just because we did close back through VWAP again after hitting the 2-day VWAP. So a very simple trade, right? I'm looking a stop at the low of the day. Again, I keep forgetting. People love when I draw these out here. So stop the low of the day and then target, somewhere back through the range. So it ends up being like a 2-to-1 risk reward. Not looking for anything crazy. Again, it's been a pretty action-packed morning for me, actually. But again, I'm reminding myself all the time that FOMC is coming, and I need to be careful from that. It looks like NBIS is going to NBIS. Michael, there you go. So this, right, sold. I took a little bit of profit here, and now it looks like it's bouncing. So if we get a close above VWAP on that one, I think I'll just exit that and just take the money there. Then the other one was Upstart, which I'm kind of going to do the same thing, right? If we can't make a run at the 2-day VWAP and we close under VWAP there, then it'll be time to go there as well. So those are the 3 positions I have on, and to be honest, that's probably enough for me.
Nothing on for me, guys. After that HIMS trade, just trying to take an assessment here and see what I can find out there. Truth is, I'm not getting much pullback on certain names, so kind of hard to jump in here. Archer's starting to come back through VWAP. That's one that I have on my radar today. It's back towards the 860s. Let's see if it can lift there towards 9.
Marvell. All right, so I'm going to take this one too. I'm going to be a good boy and just follow the system. Looking to, you can see the green arrow and the dip and rip through that zone. So that's something we just got to keep an eye on there as well. Just nice little push up after that down move. The target there would be what, 57.70. That's the 2-day VWAP. So I have lost. Hold on here. How are you doing this? Oh, there we go. Too much technology. I lost my mouse there. I'm trying to put in the trade. And I was like, where'd my mouse go?
Just looking for a slight pullback here to get long on Archer. We'll see if I'm able to get the fill in. Slight pullback.
So I did get that there. Stop the lows. Target 57. That'd be a nice good little risk reward. So again, just to draw it out. Long from here. Stop the low of the day. Target right there. So that's a 3-to-1 risk reward if we end up getting that there. I said I was done, but I'm trying to just be a robot and simulate what would happen. Oh, SMCX. Oh, I missed. I didn't even see that one come through. This is why I can't wait for automated trade. So SMCX, the buy would have been right here at 22.87, and the stop would have been 22.21. So about a 60-cent stop, and I would probably be taking profits here at 24 as it got up there. So that was another good one. So we'll see. Again, got a bunch of positions on. Put pretty much green on as well.
All right, guys, I bought a little bit high there at 864s there on Archer as it started to try to break the high there. We'll see what happens now. Definitely trying to risk off the bottom here, but it's a little bit farther than I wanted. That's still $72 risk there. I wanted it to be closer towards 60 or 50. But I'll hold in right now to see what happens with Archer, to see if it can hold the 9 EMA, make up an attempt towards 9 here. All right, looking around for other plays out there on the pullback. Still waiting for Palantir to come back down, and we'll see what happens. SPY is kind of chopping around here, right around the 561 area. I think we're going to get some pullback opportunities. That's what I'm waiting for. If the SPY just keeps ripping up, well, that's fine too. We'll let it go. Curly is one that's making a move today, guys. Small stock here near the $5 spot, CURI.
Yeah, so the SPY held that 2-day VWAP well twice now. So it seems like we're popping up here again. I'm gonna be a broken record, and just remind everyone that we have FOMC, right? So this fun we're having, and looking at my account, I'm having fun this morning. I just want to remind everyone, and myself included, that there is an event coming that everyone in the world cares about. Again, not so much the number. We all know what the number is. That's not super interesting. The event is the meeting afterwards, right? Because what they're going to try to do, and they being the reporters, they're going to try to poke out of them to see what are the probabilities of a June cut, and that's all we're going to care about. So you're going to have a big move when the number comes out, which is going to be 0, but right, you know, there's just going to be algos that trade off that. But the bigger one's going to be when J Powell takes the stage. That's when I think you're going to get the final trend for the day. So again, just being a broken record, reminding everyone, if you got profits, take some profits, right? Enjoy your afternoon. This isn't going to be an afternoon, I think, to trade, right? I think it's going to be one of those you trade the open. If you're a real degen, you come back, and we see we're pulling back here now, right? Just again, what we expect to see, some up and down in this market, right? Just if you're a real degen, I would come back maybe after, maybe have a TV up, and as soon as J Powell walks off stage, then you can probably trade for the after hours. But again, for me, this is take these trades in the morning, shut it down, right? So
all right, I just want to jump in here. Just want to jump in here for a second. Just make sure that in the chat, guys, make sure that we're leaving the emojis to a limited amount. Let's not go insane on the emojis, just to keep the chat comments at least a value, right? I don't mind that you're posting a lot. It ain't me. Just take off the emojis, please, just because it just gets a little bit excessive.
SPY, I'm taking out of that. We're selling back down. We're at lows again. We're chopping inside this range. So we got to, again, just remember what we've got going on and be a little bit more careful about that. So there's Disney. Let's bring that up. Oh yeah, Disney is breaking down. So I'm going to take a little bit of a short there. Again, just trying very hard to do what the system's telling me to do without thinking too hard about it, right? I
like this
as we talk about
5 break here. It's just breaking 5 right now. CURI. We'll see if it makes a move. There it is. I hesitated there, guys. There it goes. 520s. We'll see if it takes to 550s. That's where I was looking at it to make a move towards. There's 517s, 520s, 525s. I'd be selling a little bit into that maybe as you see the slowdown, and then looking to see if it can get to 550s. Nice little push there. CURI. I talked about it right here when it started to go for the 5. It did that kind of undercut. Now trying to rally off of it. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, so Disney trade, I'll just show you guys that, right? So the first blue arrow, I really like this one because just all morning wasn't able to break through VWAP. On that downtick in the market, we've broken through VWAP, and the risk reward is great on it, right? So there's your entry. Oh, that's the long one. Do the short one. There's your entry. There's your stop loss, right? Your profit target. I am just going to put my stop there, so that makes it like a 2.5 risk reward. Again, you can see I'm just taking a bunch of these trades because there was a lot of setups, taking them relatively small, and then just waiting for some kind of profits to be had. MBIS is holding on. It didn't close above VWAP, broke VWAP once or twice, closed above. So I'm probably just going to bring my stop down to this area right here, which again makes it now a profitable trade because I took that little bit off underneath. So again, we're just waiting for being faster with these trades. And maybe it's something I keep going as well, but I keep doing as well. But yeah, we're trying to be faster with these trades because, like I'm going to repeat, we got FOMC coming up, right? So if I can make a couple bucks and have a pretty decent day and then end before the volume just gets, or the volatility gets sucked into the market, then of course it's something I'm going to do for sure.
Starting to see the SPY and the Qs are just chopping around, guys. They're not really going anywhere, even though there's some certain stocks going up. It's kind of weird for me, the rotation right now that I'm seeing. I'm seeing the technology names dragging. Technology is essentially in the red, holding us back here. So we'll see what happens. Will we start to come down? Palantir is still riding high. That's why I mean, there's just it's a lot of mixed noise out there. So very stock specific moves that I'm seeing out there.
Yeah, well, and for us, that's great. I'll take that all day. Right? It's a stock pickers market, and as stock traders, that's great, right? So we're just looking for setups as you guys see, right? So I'm short Disney, I'm long Marvel and VRL and USPT, and then I'm short NBIS. So I got 2 longs, 2 shorts, and up on most of them NBIS. So I love markets like this, right? Rotation is something that is annoying for people who are just kind of buy and hold type people, but for people who are trading different stocks, different markets, it's something that I'll take all day long. Just trying to look at the streets and see if there's anything that's gonna potentially move us. Nothing. Walter Bloomberg, is he taking a nap? Huh?
It's nothing to talk about.
Yelling. He's just yelling. He's yelling at judges. It seems like it's the problem. So far, so good on negotiations with Iran. I don't know if Iran's a trading partner that we care about. I think it's more of war-related stuff, I think.
Don't lose another F-18 in the ocean. Right about that. There was another F-18 that had some issues and deep into the abyss now. Nice $30 million or something like that.
Yeah, it's all like geopolitical stuff, but not market related stuff. So I don't really care.
Yeah, still holding on to the Archer trade, guys. I'm just gonna ride it on the strategy and just risk to see what happens on that one. I definitely didn't buy at the right spot. Should be closer towards the VWAP. But you see that I bought towards right here on this kind of 64s. Should be closer to 60, but I mean, we're talking 4 cents difference, not too much difference. This is just a smaller name. Daily chart that I like here. Really do like the daily chart. So that's another reason. It's kind of like a name that I would swing trade from here. Maybe risk towards the 8 if I was swing trading. But of course, day trading, I'm not going to risk towards the 8, but we'll see what happens. It's also in an area that we've been seeing some kind of lift as of late. GPUS continuing there, guys. Now 739, 740. So this one's really ripping, guys. Held the 90 MA on the pullback. Exactly what you want to see for these momentum names. Not even going back to the VWAP there. 750 and doing well.
Yeah, the just looking through to see if there's anything going on. Nothing news related. So we just got to keep an eye on the overall market. And the reason I'm looking so hard for news right now is because this support plus a 2-day VWAP seems like rock solid. And then we're a long way to pre-market highs and post-market highs. So that not only, and then look at the daily chart. Right? We always got to zoom back out to the daily chart. We are smack dab in the middle of this chop range. So,
Michael, now's your shot. Now's your shot. Grab it. Grab it.
I'm looking. Did you see the tweet yesterday I retweeted about it? Is that what's going on?
I'm saying 456. Got the low.
Let me grab this one just to show people what we're talking about here. So yeah, this is my boy.
The wheat. The wheat.
Right here. This is my boy bring them against all odds.
They're cool.
Yeah, I can bring on Jason too if you want. We're working together on projects.
Cool.
Commodities. So he's a commodities future systematic type guy, and one of the things that he does is using this commitment of traders, and he loves fading them. So basically, just means that everyone in the world is short wheat right now. It's the largest net short ever for futures shorts on wheat. So it's never been more shorted than it is right now for wheat futures. So for us, WAT ETF, I'm looking at this. I'm like, man, right? What you're shorting now? It's gone from $12 to $4, and kind of a decent little support. So yeah, I'm watching this one. I don't know. I feel like I need something. I feel like I need to like fool myself on some technical analysis to get in. Like, I don't know, trend line. That's pretty good looking trend line. Maybe I just realized that I'm not showing my screen for all that. So yeah, so this was the tweet that I retweeted from my boy Jason. So yeah, net short. This is the green line is how short or long speculators are, and the largest short position of all time. Again, now you're shorting it, not at 12, they were net long up here, and they were net short right there. So that makes me look at this, and I just need something, right? I need some catalyst to get me in. So I think I'm just going to draw a trend line like that, and then just put an alert on that trend line. We break and close above that. That's what 460. So it's only a little bit higher from here. And again, it's wheat, right? You're not expecting to triple your money or anything, but if it goes from the break that trend line and it challenges the 2024 high, it's like a 50% gain on, again, wheat, right? It's like it's like Shockwave says, right? It's not like it's going to go to, well, I say that, and then we have to remember that oil went negative, so anything can happen. But yes, the probabilities of a bushel of wheat costing nothing is near zero. So I don't know why everyone's so short. Again, it can always go lower, but I just want to look at it and say, hey, if we break that trend line, I'm going to get in, use that trend line as a stop, just take a little bit of a trend trade there on wheat. I love that commitment to trader stuff, because we talk about it all the time. Trading is just positioning. If people are wrong, then they have to get out. If you're short wheat and it rips for any reason, you gotta get out. So that's why I love positioning data, just because it, sentiment data doesn't mean much to me because people can say whatever they want. But when you take a trade, you take a trade, and beauty of it is you have to report that data. So that commitment to trader data that comes out weekly, I think, is definitely worth a look if you want to be commodity trading at all.
Hims continuing now, guys. Palantir continuing. I'm trying to catch some of these rockets, but they're moving fast, guys. They're continuing to move. I took AUR there on the long side, guys, as another way to play some of this kind of autonomous move that I'm seeing a lot out there right now. So definitely something to watch out there, guys. So I got 2 positions on, long on Archer, long on AUR, and just trying to risk off the bottoms and trying to see if the move can continue. We'll see what happens. Can it go back towards the resistance? I was looking at Tempest too, but it's kind of hanging out too much by the VWAP here. I don't know.
Yeah.
The earnings weren't bad, man. The earnings are really good, actually. The EPS wasn't like the best, but if you look at the segments, the growth is there. And that's all you really want to see when you're getting like a brand new stock. It's not necessarily like, I don't care about the EPS as much as I'm caring about what are you leading to, right? As long as the segments can keep growing at like 50, 80% year over year, at some point profitability has to be down the road, right? And so like a good profitability. So I think you got to continue to watch this. Tempest, it's not a bad one. It's not a bad one.
Yeah, for sure. I like that, you know, theme. I like the thematics of
Uber coming back.
That the whole AI with health, I think, is going to be the biggest benefit to not just money, like, stock go up, but like the world. Like, I think what a massive benefit to mankind if some of these AIs can tackle problems that we've had such issues with doing with humans. Like, it would just be absolutely amazing. So yeah, it's one of the things I'm really, really pumped for is if we can kind of get our heads around, use these giant systems that we're playing with and are helping us in our day-to-day lives already, and have them cure cancer or solve this or solve that, solve whatever these things kind of are, right? I think it'd be great.
There's one ripping today. Porch Group. The Porch Group, man. Can you believe it?
I don't even know what that is.
It's like an open door. It's also a SPAC. Open door is open. It's like kind of like a Zillow. They sell homes, but they use like AI. So Porch Group, kind of get it, software company, but get big lift there. Not a bad looking daily chart off the 8 either. Starting to actually get like, so there's a lot of times when you see these bottoming charts, you're going to see something like maybe like this, right? Where it's like the first spike and it's just getting into a range. But once you start to actually develop outside of that range, and then you want to see kind of like a pattern, right? Like this, that looks good to me. Once you got out of the fives, you started to actually hang out above 5, right? Which is what you want to see, right? Especially for these smaller names. And then you want to start seeing the volume actually load the boat, right? And I think that this move here, where it went to like in this spot here, you could see that amount of volume that came in on that. Now you're starting to get above that with higher volume. Shows me more and more that the investors in here are starting to see a change in the fundamentals for Porch. It's interesting. Bull ripping, that's also one to keep on the radar as just being oversold, right? Man, why didn't we short bull, bro? Like, what were we thinking?
I know, you just knew it was going to bleed. And yeah, I talked to a lot of fundamental people that follow this stuff, and they're starting to think it might be a buy around now. But
yeah,
man, from
it is
$80 down to 15, what a short. And then imagine flipping. You take some of that money that you made on the short side, and you just like, or all of it. You made $5,000 shorting bull. You go, you know what? I'm just going to buy $5,000 worth of Webull and just take my profits and put it in the stock and walk away. Because yeah, a lot of people are saying 20 is a better fair value, right? Like a reasonable price.
No, a lot of people are watching this to continue getting the lift. And in a market like this, when you're looking for a momentum player, this is not a bad one. I just look at it to get in near the 9 EMAs on pullbacks, right? That's just me. After we recovered VWAP, I can't get VWAP now, probably. So I'm looking at the 9 EMA, right? If I wanted to get into this. So that's the only way to like maybe go off of it, and then maybe using the VWAP as the risk, right? So if it gets underwater for VWAP, you might not want to be in a play like this. But as long as it can continue just chugging through like it's doing right now, like a push off of 16 to 1650, hanging out on the top end of the Bollinger Band, showing you more and more that the move is kind of outsized and really pushing, that's what you want to see on a move like this.
Mm-hmm.
And the
I
volume,
took
look at that volume
ooh,
increase.
yeah, big. I took MBIS out. I may have gotten tricked, so it may just come back down. But again, short from here. Got out pretty much flat after taking some of my position off right there. Totally okay with that. Upstart, same kind of thing. I took half my position off. Got in around 23.50 or 43.50. Nice gain on half, and then took half off here again. Just expecting a potential chop all around. Marvell, I'm looking to do the same thing. I'm up a little bit on. I wish I had grabbed some out here, but I didn't. So I'm still up on the position, but again, just barely. Just try to take profits where I see them. Disney is being a bit frustrating as well. Not going up, not going down, just hanging out. So I'm short in through here. Stop up there. Looking for the 2-day VWAP, but again, I'm just taking the money where I see it. Moving my stops up more aggressively than I normally do, but just expecting this market to frustrate everyone in the world and everyone involved as it's going up. But just look at these candles, right? These wicks on both sides. It just seems like very low volume, low participation action. So it's grinding higher, but it's just grinding higher so slowly. And again, we are in the middle of this candle's range, which I think is a very important candle right here. And then we're also within the last 5 days range. So not a lot happening in the market, which again was very, very much expected going into today with, the FOMC, all that kind of stuff's going on. So up a little bit on Disney, up a little bit on Marvell, out of everything else with small profits kind of across the board, just a buck here, a buck there kind of thing.
All right, guys, getting Archer to go into my favor here, guys. It's looking good. I'm going to try to get it up there towards 760s, but we are in the green there in Archers, not an Archer, an Aurora, AUR, and going higher and looking for Archer to start getting into green too. I'm only down just a little bit here, but still developing the pattern right around the VWAP. So AUR going higher there, that's the better position. I actually have more of that on. It's a nice little break there. We'll see if it can keep going and just keep pushing here to the 760s. Looking for like 30 cents, nothing crazy, just for it to start working back through the trend line. Eventually, the daily could get back to the 850 on AUR. That's what I'm keeping in mind. And what am I seeing? A bunch of PR on AUR, even ads on Twitter. So that shows me more and more they're trying to get more and more of their Uber mentioned. And Uber has now mentioned on their Twitter 2 times AUR in the last week, telling me more and more. What are they doing? They're pushing on their partnership to try to get more and more of their name out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we are on Disney. Maybe I don't want to jinx myself, but maybe starting a potential little breakdown here. Just holding on very strong. So again, I'll be very tight leashed on both this and then MRVL, which are the 2 trades I've got going right now. Because we are getting into its boat first hour is coming up, and with the big meeting happening, we just want to be very careful when it comes to that trading that we know that's happening, and we're kind of dealing with it appropriately, which for me means just trade them if you got them.
Yeah, I'm trying to do more of this trade. Of course, the hourly undercut, and then trying to, instead of worried so much about when do I get in, I'm just trying to get in more on the VWAPs and play those plays because I see them all the time, right? I see these all the time. That's what AUR setup is. Look at Tempest. Tempest was one that I mentioned on the playbook of an undercut under 50 and then a move back through the VWAP. It did do that. The only thing was you got to be careful for that first move back at 50.79 where it kind of tapped VWAP and then actually closed above. So the key here, I think, is going to be looking more into the strategy that it needs to close above VWAP at least for a minute and then trying to get in, trying to develop something like that can keep me away from that first kind of wick at VWAP and then a pull right back down, right? So give me a minute of time, right, that it closes above VWAP.
Well, that's why you see I'm always on 2-minute charts here. That was just the testing that I've done on my particular strategy, which again is just like yours, going to be a VWAP break strategy. and it was just 5 minutes was the highest win rate, waiting for that close. But like you can see here with Tempest, by the time you're buying it, you're kind of all the way up here. So it's like anything, you're trading win rate for how much your profit's going to be, right? So with Tempest, maybe if you got, if you bought it here, which is a 2-minute close above, if it came back down and you got stopped out here and then you tried again on the second one, you're probably still better off than if you bought way up here, right? So yeah, that ends up being one. But I totally, again, I love to hear. I think I'm influencing you a little bit, because now you're taking your system that you've observed and you're just trying to systematize the entries and exits. Like, so there's no need to, in my opinion, for a trader to ever think about entries and exits too hard, right? It should be, I think the human brain is better at things like finding themes and what stocks to trade it on, and looking for the ones that the undercut and rally look the best. And then you systematize, this is where I get in, this is where I get out, this is where I take profits, all of that stuff. And eventually you just get to the point where that's either one button, you just buy Tempest and it buys it and puts a stop and profit target and all that, or you end up just completely systematizing it where you feed a list in. And then, because that's going to be my game plan with this, is when we get robotic support, it will be you feed the list every morning and you just sit here and you monitor the bot as it trades, taking profits a little bit early if you see something in the market or something like that. Again, that's the best, in my opinion, bionic approach between man and machine. Trading it so you're picking the stocks, it's doing the boring stuff, which is entries, stop losses, position sizing, all of that kind of stuff, right? Just keeping right, because we're still to this day with LLMs, we're more creative than they are. So we should be using our creativity, which to me is finding the stocks and the themes and knowing context of the market and all that. But we're not going to be better at entering orders than a robot is. So you just let them do that. Right?
All right, guys, I just put out an order that I didn't get the entry that I wanted. There was on Curated, trying to get the $5 entry there to risk off the 480s here. CURI. We'll see what happens there, if that one can make the move there. But trying to get this pattern, it doesn't look bad here off the $5. It just broke off the VWAP 490s. So we'll see what happens here. The only thing is that I hate when my bid is just sitting there. It just sat there for like 2 or 3 minutes, no fill. And if anything, it's tapping on the upside. So I got to watch out for a quick bar down here. So I'm canceling down, trying to get an entry there at 493 if it comes back to it. But right now it's just tapping the offer. And then I don't want to be on that bid just really with that quick move down here. So we'll see what happens. But I still like this one, the way that it's building. On the pattern, 15-minute cross still there, 15-minute pattern still holding above 486. Looks good, but I can't get it up here at 510. 510 starts making the risk easily 30 cents, and then I'm looking for a 20-cent profit, at least on the resistance. That doesn't make sense to me, right? I have to get continuation for it to even make sense. Then I got to stay off. So if it's not a 5 entry or below, it doesn't make sense for me. I'm going to let it go.
No, I think that makes absolutely perfect sense, right? You just take, you have to look at it. You have to say, my risk reward for me, it always has to be 1, right? At least. And then because I'm trying to swing for a 55, 60% win rate over the long run. So if the risk reward is less than 1, then the math just doesn't jive and you just don't take the trade, right? 55% win rate, 1-to-1 risk reward over the long run, you'll do great. If you can push that risk reward to 1.5 or 2 with that 55, 60% win rate, you'll do great in the long run. And that's just the game of numbers that we end up playing, as opposed to, trying to make it all in one trade or be a genius or whatever, right? We're playing this game of prolonged probabilities, and we're just trying to do that in a way that hopefully feeds us.
Yeah. Good mention in the chat about Amazon. Remember I mentioned that one, how it looked strong? Oof. Look at that one, guys. And there's a reason why the hourly, the hourly stuck out to me, guys. So when I see stocks like this that are just hanging out here, this looks like a pure stock that, okay, so if I'm a big institutional and I've had already a big action piece that I grabbed on Microsoft, I grabbed on Meta, I'm looking at the big boys and I'm like, which one do I not have yet, right? Which one's seeming like the potential negatives are going away? Well, you mentioned a trade potentially with China. What's the number one thing that's hitting Amazon? It's China tariffs, right? Because of the selling and things like that. It has nothing to do with the underlining business of Amazon, which I think has really turned into not just a commerce like business, right? Not just selling you stuff, but it's all about the ads. It's all about Azure. It's all about understanding the cloud space. So it would be Amazon web space, and looking into that. That's what Amazon's become. That's really.
Oh, I think it.
The money,
like 55% of the revenue is cloud services now and AI.
Exactly.
Like I think
so it's not,
I agree.
It's not what you used to think Amazon was, right? So I think if anything, Amazon is still a company that we can still look at to have potential growth. Not like Apple, where it gets knocked on because what's the new product that Apple's done, right? Well, nothing really new, but Amazon has really kind of changed their business and what their focus is. They're not so focused on selling items. That they can do with their eyes closed. They're focused on other ways to drive the bottom line. So
no, that's
it
makes
daily chart looks good too. Nice 9 EMA recovery. Couple days after the earnings, they let it simmer out, right?
I've been waiting. Nice, that flat top. If we can get over that flat top, I want into some because again, I think for thematic wise, it's everyone. As soon as you say Amazon, you think they deliver to my house daily. It seems like diapers for 2 kids and just all kinds of stuff. But a lot of their money is being derived from the governments, like security government contracts, which is definitely not what you think about with Amazon. But they have probably the most robust, and as someone who's working on a lot of this for trading systems, the most robust cloud solutions when it comes to hosting like virtual computers, all that kind of stuff, which again is not sexy, but if I'm going to start paying them, I think $500-600 a month soon to host a couple virtual machines for me. So if that's me as just a random dude, they're probably charging tens of thousands of dollars a month. And these are so scalable because not like they're giving me an actual PC. They've got these massive server farms that are hosting tens of thousands of virtual PCs and different instances, and they're doing on-site machine learning and AI. So if you have something you want to run on their systems because local systems, it would melt. A lot of that stuff. And that's such a scalable business because you're not paying a guy to drive a truck to give you some Chinese crap, right? You've got this infinitely scalable thing as long as your server farms can keep up. So it's a very, very interesting one. Again, something that I don't hear talked about a lot as an AI play.
We'll see what happens there, guys. Tightened up a little bit of the risk on Archer. It's just hanging out here on the lows. Could cut right back through the lows. I'm going to hold off of the 849 spot there. We'll see what happens. I still got AUR in the green, and that's why another reason why I'm tightening up, so that I could at least make sure that the AUR, if it does go green, I am green, right? That's what I like to do at least. I'm trying to like battle if I'm going to still stay to be 3-1. I'm definitely moving down towards 2-1. But trying to adjust a little bit into the strategies and just play something else here. We'll see what happens out there.
I think you're 3-1, 4-1, 5-1. That's going to be better suited with something we're going to talk about soon with swing trading. So that's why you'll see
US going higher, man. We'll see what happens. Just want to mention, I keep mentioning these fast names because they're moving, man. There's some momentum names that are pushing today, and I think we got to look for the momentum. Right? Because on a day like today, like Michael said it, a lot of the momentum is going to die out on a lot of names. There's some names not going anywhere, right? Like look at Apple. Where has it gone from the open? Nowhere. Nowhere, right? But you're starting to see names like even Tempest. This looks nice now, and I missed out on this one. I was fighting myself when it claimed back through that 50, but it made a really nice move. If you think about it, even if you're getting in on that VWAP, risk to the low, is 207, and now you've already gotten a move right now at 244. So the one to
Yeah.
one's already there, and it's a good looking trade right back to the open price, right? You don't even
Well,
need
it's
to
nice.
ride it up for a big move.
It's a nice boring trade, right? I can always, as someone who's, again, been with hedge funds, prop firms, mentored a lot of individual traders, the boring trades are always the best ones, right? Like you buy it, you sit back, you do nothing. If anyone gets like really excited, and if trade makes you super hyped, either very excited or very sad, then you're gonna fail as a trader, right? It's these type of emotions that will just mess you up. It's again, most traders, pretty boring because you got a system, you're sticking with the system, you're playing with it. So that kind of Tempest trade is perfect systems trade. So I definitely encourage you to explore that a little further, because I think that's something that you could systematize really easily, and it could do fantastic on. So
If Porch can stay hot, open is one that we could maybe ride off the momentum. I think in the long run, if Porch Group still goes higher, take a look at Zscaler and things, not Zscaler, Zillow. So that's one that I want to take a look at to see if maybe we start to see a little hint here underneath the. So a lot of times when I see something in the industry start to get hot, I start taking a look at the relationships. Is it only this company, right? Is it company specific or is it industry wide? I'll just continue to watch that. That's Zillow to see if maybe it goes back above 70 here. The chart wouldn't look bad if it gets back above that 70, but it really needs some strength. It did have earnings today.
were they buying Redfin? Is that the one they were buying?
Was it Zillow that they got Redfin? No, I think that was Rocket. Right?
Rocket Mortgage, yeah.
Rocket Mortgage.
Just watching Bobby here, right? It
Baba.
triggered to a potential buy, but you can see it just like, yes, technically broke VWAP, but just by the tick. So you can see how much VWAP is putting a lid on this stock right here. So I'm just watching this nice little, pullback on the daily, gap down. It's the things I look to fade. If we can just pop back through this VWAP, I think we could get a little bit of a short covering rally. Maybe we get some people getting involved and buying in there. So again, that's from the strategy. You can see again the green arrow, but it just wasn't enough to be super interesting. So watching that, and then very close to killing, just to update the trades, very close to killing Disney, just not going my way. So again, I want to be tight. Marvel is doing okay, just grinding higher here. So next little pop here, I'll look to take some profits, because as we go on these trades, these VWAPs they shrink down, right? So now the risk is about 2.3. So I can change the risk by raising this up now. Right now it's like a 4 times risk reward. So yeah, Disney really tight leash, just 'cause it's not going for me. Quick summary of what's just happened in the SP 500. Still grinding higher, just grinding higher slowly, right? So again, you gotta be patient when it comes to what's going on today. And we're gonna get a lot of action today. It's just going to be in a little bit when Jay Powell comes up there and starts running his mouth. That's when the action will happen.
Looking around, guys, HIMS right back to the top side there, held the VWAP beautifully, right back to the 50, 60s. So that stock has traded perfectly technically today if you are getting after HIMS. So, hey, who knows? Maybe we just need to rinse and repeat on HIMS, because that looking great there on a nice little push right back through towards the 50, 60s. Let's see if it gets to 52 and really starts getting the wheels going. Of course, this one had a lot to trade yesterday, and it's pushing. NVO also doing decent today. A ton of pullback. I'm watching to see if it's going to get the lift. Of course, it had some weight loss drug mentions.
What was that? Which one?
NVO. They're kind of a.
Oh yes, Novo. Right.
Yeah, they got this FDA kind of thing that told pretty much, they said that now their drug will kick off in the second half because of that FDA kind of verdict. I think it pretty much limited those generic weight loss drugs, and so that's why you would see it. So what I'd watch though is Lilly, because Lilly came down hard yesterday and it's still coming down today, telling me more and more concerns of what's going on in the FDA and the health department.
Yeah, like how much are they gonna go how much are they going to gut, right? That's the real question, you know.
I mean,
It's
XLV
yesterday's
still looks
pretty
ugly.
well.
Still looks ugly, man. Look at that
Well, and
thing.
that's
It's still,
right. Yeah, UNH. Look, new lows on UNH. Again, eventually this will be very tempting to pile some money into, just because it's such a massive. Like a world where UNH goes bankrupt is catastrophic. So at some point it's going to be like the buy of a century. I just don't know if only being what kind of drawdown are we in now? Yeah, 37%. Maybe closer to a 50% drawdown.
GPUS
I
still hanging
believe
on
so.
there, trying to get back through the $8 spot there. Just be careful for a rip above eights and then running into the resistance here right above it. 844 is resistance on the daily as we come into the action. So just be careful out there. It's had already a great day. It's about to run into resistance. Let's see if it runs into some selling through 8.
Yeah, another boring grind, right? And again, boring not being a negative term. This is a great one. So this is one that, yeah, you slap a trend line, a moving average, whatever on, you try to stay involved as long as you can, because, you know, especially if it gets to and through this high right here, you got to imagine there's a lot of people short against that high with a stop at that high, because this is one of those, right, garbage. This was the 4 sextillion or whatever the hell it was dollar stock.
It's coming back, my friend.
So yeah, there's probably a lot of people short in through here, and they did well, and they're probably getting kind of forced out. So the highs there are like 850. If you can get through there, you might get a pretty good short covering rally. So you just grab your favorite trailing stop and away you go, right?
And away you go. Tempest,
Baba.
man. Tempest was the buy for me today. I think it's being the leading stock on the playbook. Got to be able to nail that one. Tempest just continuing now close to 55, man. I'm telling you, that earnings report had no business going down. It's just more of a matter of the market kind of getting dragged. And of course, it did pop on the first reaction. So the algos had it right. And it was one of those where the algos get it right, but then the stock goes down. And then the algos start selling it, and then they start selling it, and they're like, oh no, the price action's coming back up. The algos on that one lost on both sides. So don't worry, guys. The algos lose also. When you see moments like that on Tempest, where it's a quick spike, then move down below the closing action, then it's right back up through the closing action of yesterday. I mean, yeah, the algos are losing there. They're flip-flopping through the position.
Yeah, so Baba, you can see the second trigger here. I'm going to take a shot on it now. I'm not going to use the low of the day to stop. I think I'll probably use this low right here, this kind of 123.75. Right, your target's all the way up at 127. I'm certainly not going to hold for that. If we can get anywhere near kind of this 125.50, which is pre-market highish, then that's the shot I'll take. So again, it's just such a massive wall there at VWAP makes me think that was a little bit algorithmic. So now that we've pushed through, maybe this guy who's been keeping us down is gone. I don't know, someone taking profit, someone taking a bet that the China deal isn't going to work, whatever it's going to happen. It's a nice looking chart again from the setup, and it's to the point now where we're 1 hour into the day. So that is the cutoff for this particular style. So I'm going to take those. So far, again, great day. A lot of take half off, get stopped out the rest, break even, but was able to do that a bunch, and it makes sense. The only two open positions right now are Baba and then Marvel still pushing up here. So, and we'll talk about these other systems that I'm building, like DYN, when and if they prove themselves in the real world the way that they're working in systems. I can do a little tease here.
The halter of the day, ASSST, continuing to go, but man, I wouldn't touch that thing. That thing's been halted, I think, like 12 times.
Yeah, I don't. So these are the back tests of the systems that I'm working on here. So these are something else that I will automate once we can get automation come in. You can see this. So this is the back test going back 25 years. So we know that the data is working for us. It's like a 20% gain with like a 10% max drawdown over time, which is amazing, right? You take that, put the $200,000 account on it, 20% a year, fully systematized is $40K a year. You just need to be able to build up so it has that max drawdown. So that's kind of the game plan here.
I had a feeling with that GPUS, guys. I see these all the time. I have a troubled time going after the trade, but I could see the trade sometimes. And there it is. Look at GPUS's reaction towards the 840s area where the resistance was. And what did the stock do? It breaks 8 and in like a minute goes to that 856 and right back through 8. Right. And so this is an important lesson on kind of these smaller stocks with bigger resistance and support on the chart. It came right into that. And so it got sold right into that. I'm more than certain also someone probably tried to open a bigger short on that position, right? Because now you're able to at least use daily levels to short off of. If you're shorting here around in the 8s, let's say 820s, you could even use Monday's action of a high of 908 as your risk. Now you're using daily risk there on the chart, looking for a bigger cut down. This is how those bigger traders like Tim Grutani and Dux short these penny stocks. They're looking for major daily levels to break. And then as everyone thinks the momentum is riding high on the 1 minute, they come in and hammer it. And it's big size. And that's why you get that quick reaction right back down. It's almost like an iceberg order reaction where it's just hit, all of a sudden it's wiped down, right?
Yeah.
And that you can only tell with years of experience of watching these types of moves.
Did you see, I don't know if we already talked about this, but the Schwager, who famously for writing the Market Wizard series, says a couple of those low flow short guys are going to be in his next book. Let me get the names, which I'm really interested in.
Yeah, I'm excited. I like newer books versus older books. I'll be as honest as I can be. And Michael knows that the data changes all the time. So if you're relying on a book that was 30, 40 years old, and that's not the same market we trade today, guys.
Yeah, Quagomagli. I definitely butchered that, but he's super famous to turn. He turned like 10,000 into 10 million. And again, to get in, for those who don't know, if you haven't read a Market Wizards books, you have to. They're amazing. And to get into a Market Wizards book, you don't just be a big name on Twitter. He audits everything. He goes through all of your statements. He actually brings them to an independent third auditor, make sure your trades are absolutely legit. So everyone who has made it in a Market Wizard book is like, he just doesn't want to like have people come back later and turn out that they were just, people talk crap online, right? People like, oh, look at me, I'm the best, blah, blah. You have to get completely automated. So he did great. Lance, I think we've all probably heard of Lance, big in the prop firm game. He was considered one of the best prop firm traders, like, period. And then, this guy, the Short Bear, who does just this, right? Just famous for shorting these penny stocks, right? It does.
There was one of those I looked in, and it's kind of interesting. He's done trading. He's done doing those positions. And that just shows me more and more how sometimes it's like that too. You got to be able to make your money, take your winnings, and sometimes get the hell out.
Well, like Quag, I'm just going to call him Quag because I'm going to butcher his name, right? He again, famously turned 10,000 into 10 million. And now when you hear him interviewed, he's like, I still do those trades almost for fun. But he's like, I got $10 million. I can't trade with that large of an account doing the things, these shorts on parabolic penny stock movers. I just can't do it anymore. So he's like,
I can't open a position like that.
Yeah, he's like, I got $10 million. He's like, most of it, I'm just dumping in like stock. You get a 10% return. He's making $1 million a year, not doing anything anymore. So he's like, yes, I still trade because I love it and all this kind of stuff. But yeah, you'll see that a lot. You get to a certain level. And with $10 million, you can't sneak in and out of the market anymore, right? 2 Eastern for the minutes, and then 2:30 for JPOW. And we really only care. There will be some movement when they announce no cut, but like everybody knows it's no cut. The market's really going to go crazy once we see JPOW out there.
what you guys want to use is the straight federal website to get your PDF, guys. And so that's one thing that I feel like a lot of traders do that some traders don't. And I think that this is just as simply put, guys. If you're looking to see what happens, well, know where it comes from. Where does this report actually get released? It gets released right here on this website. And I think it's important so that you grab it yourself and do your own research, right? Don't worry about what CNBC and Fox News are going to tell you about what they read in the press release. Why don't you grab it, throw it in any AI to give you a little bit more of a summary, and then start going through the seasonal adjustments, outlooks, and the dot plot outlook. That's what you want to be looking into. That's what the economists do too. They look at the future of this after the press release, right? And there's another thing that it helps you. Once you read the press release, guess what? When Jerome Powell is first speaking at 2:30, from like 2:30 to like 2:40, we'll say, the first like 10 minutes, he's just reading that prepared speech that he released at 2 p.m. He's literally looking down and making sure he's reading it word for word, right? Yep. And so he gives you that release ahead of time. That's why people say that the fireworks come at 2:30. So I just wanted to break that down there so that you guys can understand exactly what happens there, right? It's all about a actual press release that they write yesterday. They don't write that today, guys. They wrote that yesterday. That's why it's a 2-day meeting. The first day is determining what the hell we're going to do. The second day is all about releasing that information to the market.
Yeah, so then, he'll do his reading, and that's fine because you're right. All the robots have already read the PDF. They know what's in it. A lot of them will mark up. Here's, a random word that he said today and didn't say yesterday or last time versus this time, all that. And then the real thing starts with when he starts chatting, right? When people ask questions and they answer them, that's where sometimes you can get big swings in the market because yes, it's like, oh, everyone thought that XYZ was going to happen, but they're always trying to get something outside of the prepared remarks. I don't know if I was going to say issue, but it's probably a great thing with JPOW. Almost impossible to do, right? You're not getting this guy move one iota from what it is that he's potentially going to say or do, right? He's very much my job is to stay on point and to do exactly what I said in the doc. But the reporters always try, right? Because like Mitch said, we know what's going to happen today. There's no move, right? But they're trying to figure out, and this goes all the way back to old school where they used to look at what was his name? Greenberg or something.
Greenspan. I got you, man.
Greenspan, yeah. They would look at the size of like his file folder that he would put on the desk to try to judge whether or not this would be something. And traders would trade off of this. Say, okay, it's a really thick folder. So that means it's going to have a lot of good things to say, like buy, sell. And, again, it's the way it works, right? So we're totally fine with trying to play the game. Just understand that it's a game. It's a fast game. Things are going to be kind of hard to keep an eye on. And you're going to get a lot of whipsaw, right? It's probably not going to go anywhere.
Two big plays, I think, today. Decent earnings, Uber and Tempest doing the similar move, guys. That undercut, under support, and right back through it, guys. Look at that. Now 50, almost 56, guys. We could have been getting that towards the 51 level through the VWAP. VWAP was at 50.70. So just putting in that perspective, $4 to the upside for your less than $2 on the downside, right? So there you guys have it. A beautiful move there in Tempest AI of the undercut of the hourly and then right back up. The also thing that looked good here was the daily. I saw the daily and I said $50 just stands out to me like a sore thumb, man. And it just is. It's sometimes you just got to be looking at those levels. Of course, where did I give this on the playbook? We put this out every single morning. Specifically, earnings look strong, showing growth across every segment. Key levels to watch: holding support at 50, and then trying to break out above the 58. And of course, and we're starting to approach the 58, so that's where I could see some resistance coming into play, right? And so we could see some pullback once we get to that 58 on the daily. We'll see if we get back up there. But this was another one that would have been like a classic, like buy the dip on the hourly and then swing it higher, right? I would have been buying 50 and maybe risking towards like 48, giving me like, or this low here, 47.27, and then looking for it to close in the green today, and then swings on, baby. Then we can just hold off on 50 and see if this really starts to make the move and really starts going, right? Because it shouldn't get back to that 50 at this point on the daily. At this point, I'd be looking for a break above 60 and towards 70s to really show me conviction on the play.
Yeah, I think this is the setup you should focus on. You know, if you want my advice going forward, it's just that this is something that I think could be systematized when we get that option, and B is going to be something that you could potentially do day trading and swing trading on, right? So if you took the Tempest in, say, both accounts, you took in the day trading account, you took in your swing trading account. Same with Uber, right? The daily chart on Uber looks amazing. You might just say, okay, at the end of the day, obviously I'm going to sell my day trading account, maybe I see your 9 EMA on Tempest looks great. So you're in, your stop's the low of the day, and then you're just using your 9 EMA. You don't need to think about it anymore on like a 5 or something. As long as it's closing above that, I'm good. So you have your day trade all set up, and you're up big on it now. And then you kind of looking at it on the swing trading account, where maybe you just leave the original stop in place, and at the end of the day, you just make a decision of, is this something I'm keeping into the close or something? Because Uber and both Tempest, and especially Tempest on a daily chart, if I got Tempest, what was it, 51 you were saying? Yeah, if I got that on a day trade, you better believe with this really nice day trading chart or daily chart on Tempest, this nice flag, I'm holding that guy, right? It's a nice bear flag or bull flag, and you got right at the bottom of that bull flag.
And then now so the moving average support also, where if you close all above the moving averages, but you slightly underwick those moving averages, trend traders are going to love this style, right? Because now you're pushing, and where the moving average is below you versus like here, when you're like kind of away from the moving averages, right? The price action's away from them. So you can almost expect them going towards them. And in this case, perfect reaction. And with big volume yesterday, tells me more and more, maybe some volume was in, expecting good earnings. They got the good earnings. The stock went down today, and they dug in. They dug in on the daily levels, and they said, well, let's go for it. Everything's good in this report. There's nothing really necessarily bad. Let's see if this can start working its way back. And it's a good move. Amazon's another major move of the day, guys. I think that was a really good catch that I caught. Wasn't able to catch the trade there, but Amazon, that's a strong move for Amazon today. So let's keep our eyes on that one. Palantir just gave me an alert on the pullback of the 110. So this is a very similar trade that I took yesterday. Remember, we were looking at HIMS and it started to undercut the VWAP. I started to look for 3 attempts down here, right? So we've had this attempt here where it first undercut. Now we're getting the second kind of attempt here towards this undercut. Let's see if we can undercut this just for a second here, start making our way above 110. And then on the pullback of 110, I can take the shot. That was a very similar trade that I took yesterday, or talked about taking trade on HIMS. Remember, we broke it down and we did a little bit of a fade or trade on it. Very similar setup. And I talked about earlier, as I saw Palantir do that lift off like HIMS yesterday, I would look for the trade. Let's see if we can nail it.
Yeah. No. So someone's saying UNH, talked about this a little bit before.
You've been breaking that down for a while now, so I'll let you take that question for sure.
Just, again, this reminds me of Boeing, right? When bad news starts, which was right here, I think this is where the windows were blown out of planes, things can get really, really ugly. So what I generally do is I slap a VWAP from where the bad move starts, and then if we can get above that, then I'm interested. If not, I just stay away. So I did the same thing with UNH. Right, so there's the VWAP. So this is everyone who bought before this disastrous earnings report. Their average price is sitting around 430. But you zoom out, we broke this long-term support right here. Again, this is one of those companies that over time it'll do fine. Over time, it'll probably be right back up. The question is that 10 years from now, or is it 2 years from now? Is it 1 year from now? So I just get really worried about buying just stocks that are just completely imploding like this, because generally what will happen sometimes is you get something that gets killed this much, and then you have lawyers getting involved, and you have lawsuits getting involved, and we know we have an administration that's maybe not going to increase the amount of money these guys can make very easily. So you have all these things against you. Again, it's like two kind of minds. The value traders out there are at some point going to put their flag in the ground and say, hey, it's pulled back a lot, it's a company that makes a lot of money, all that kind of nonsense. But from just a pure technical point of view, there is nothing saying buy just yet, and you don't need to be in a rush, right? If you're looking at this and saying, hey, I want to get involved in some way, well, have it do something to prove it to you, right? Get above a key moving average, break a trend line, break a VWAP, whatever. Just prove to you that it may have bottomed. Because if you're right and we're going back to highs, it doesn't matter if you get in at 392 or if you get in at 400, right? You don't need to pick the absolute bottom. So you could just wait for a buy and then a pullback and then an increase or something like that. There's a lot of things you can look for. I just don't. Generally speaking, I just get very nervous about buying things that are tanking like that, right? Especially with so much stuff going up.
All right,
Marvell, I just got
bottom
short
out. Marvell, short on the Marvell.
Yeah. Oh no, I just got stopped out here. So for about a break even, just FYI, right? I wish I had taken some out on those pops, but I got a little greedy. Came back down, came under VWAP there, so I just heard the little beep saying you're out. So the only trade I've got going now is Baba, which I'm up ever so slightly on, and nothing really. Just trying to see if this one can kind of grind higher into the end of the day.
Real estate showing up still. Porch still holding the 9 EMA. That could make another run to 10, guys. It just seems like it's holding the 9 EMA really well there. We'll look to see if it makes that run there to 10. Hey, guys, I will tell you guys, we saved the best for last today, guys, as we're going to go ahead and have a little conversation about the Fed conversation out here. So like always, we'll still stick on to some trading action. If you guys have any trades to talk about, definitely mention them in the chat. We're going to get into a little bit of some interview on some Fed conversation. If you guys have questions, this is your chance also to throw up some questions in the chat of what you guys think about interest rates and the outlook out there. Let's go ahead. Let's bring on the man himself, Giles Coughlin, another CMT. You guys know how we do it with our CMTs. Let's bring him on. How we doing, Giles?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Good to be with you, Mitch. How's life going? You doing okay?
I'm doing great, man. Of course, I got twin boys, so they're starting to walk and run around, and there's nothing better than the double trouble when one goes left and one goes right?
Yeah, Mitch, the thing is, at the moment, you're still okay because you can man mark, right?
Yeah.
It's when you go more than two, you have to shift to zonal marking. You
just yes. I'll tell you one thing. I take a really quick risk analysis. I'm like, is that one in the higher risk situation or is this one in a higher risk situation? Let me go after that one in the high risk situation. So it's all about risk to reward, whether we're looking to it in trading or looking for it in life, right? I mean,
exactly.
That's just the way things are.
They're precious time, so you make the most of it.
That's what it's all about. Michael knows about it too. Just chasing around out there. So Giles, tell us a little bit about what you're seeing in the market. It's been a crazy ride back up, of course. We'll take a little bit of a wider view and then we can talk a little Fed. Crazy ride up with this rally, right? We went from it being the fastest bear market to maybe the fastest bull market. What are you seeing out there, Giles?
Yeah, I see two really contrasting narratives.
Yeah.
So there's narrative one that says Donald Trump, he's going to get the deal done. There's a bit of tough rhetoric going around. He's not going to buy Greenland. He's not going to turn Canada into a 51st state. He's not going to invade the Panama Canal or anything like that.
I thought he was going to take the penguins.
Yeah, he's just going to get a deal done. And then the trouble's going to blow over. So that's what's been fueling some of these recent gains that we've seen.
Yeah.
But there's another narrative that says, okay, but are tariffs still going to be here? Yes. Are tariffs going to be higher than they were before? Yes. So will the US economy struggle going forward? And the answer is yes. So we're now at that sort of midway point where markets are trying to think, okay, we've had a little bit of a recovery, but do we really believe that things are going to go back to normal? Or is there a new narrative developing, a tariff-driven world? And I think that makes sense because the US ascendancy, it has to pull back. It's spending too much money. It can't do everything for the world that it was doing before. So it has to find a way to kind of pull back its spending. And tariffs is a way of trying to reshore up the American economy. So
Yeah.
I lean with the second narrative, which is tariffs are still going to be here. They're still going to be higher, and it's still going to be a drag on the US economy in the medium term. But it's with Donald Trump, so who knows?
That's the crazy part. I don't think it's ever been on one person's comments, right? Usually it's like a conflicting noise, whether it's coming from the EU or it's coming from us or it's coming from China. And it's like a back and forth. But this is just more on one person's ideas, like whether he wants to continue it or not. And we all know he pulled back a little bit. We all know. We can all admit that he pulled back a little bit. At first, he was just like, tariff everything, tear it of it all.
But it was, and this is what all politicians have to serve. And as our UK Prime Minister found out to their detriment, Liz Truss, the bond market.
The bond market's what turned
the bond market. Because if a country wants to borrow money, it can't go to a bank like you and I. It has to issue a bond. And if people are saying, we're not going to buy your bonds anymore because you're a crackpot, then you have to change your approach. And so Donald Trump, it was obviously explained to him, this little old thing called the bond market, which unless you're working in finance, you're not going to understand. And then he responds to the bond market. And that, for me, is where I see his pain. If you start to see the bond market and you don't see people buying bond yields surging up, that's a sign of distress. I've never seen it in all my trading career, distress regarding the US debt market. We saw it with Greece, right? We've seen it in the UK, never seen it in the US until these last few weeks. And Mitch, I think that's the significant part, is that you're starting to see stress in the US market.
Yeah, we're seeing at least the stress on the day trade side of things right now as we're getting a little drop there in the SPY. I'll just mention it out there to kind of bring it up here as, of course, protection for our traders out there. Quick move here after 10:45, straight down on the SPY here. I feel like it's just trying to put in that range. I think it's been a lot of overnight action that's been the move, right? And it's tough. It's tough to trade when the overnight action is where it's at. And I think that's what we're seeing here with another kind of establishment right back down into the range here, into the 559s. And a lot of euphoric stocks were going up today, even though like an Apple and others were struggling. So we'll see if we start to get a little bit of some pullback. It's a choppy type of day. Everyone's waiting to see what happens. What will Jerome Powell give? And of course, we all want to know how Jerome feels about being fired and then rehired and then fired again. And then supposedly we'll let you stay, buddy. We'll let you stay there. So I know as a lawyer, he's probably like, man, this guy's just all over the place, man.
Yeah. But I just want to do my economy stuff and leave me alone. But that actually leads me to my question: is what are your bets for not what J Powell is going to say, but what is the market reaction going to be specifically? Because I think you hit the nail on the head there, is the bond market. Now that we know that the bond market is the one thing that can rein in Trump, I think all eyes have shifted. Even people who weren't studying the bond market before are really interested now. What do you think? What do you think he's going to do to the bond market, being J Powell? And then what do you think the obvious pushback is going to be from Trump? Because we know he's not going to lower rates and Trump's going to get really mad because of it. And then what do you think the fallout for all this means for the bond market?
I think what Powell has to do probably is just play for time, because there's going to be no summary of economic projections this evening. So we're not going to have an indication of what he thinks about growth or employment. All I can see him doing is playing for time, because by July, they would have had 2 extra CPI prints. So they'll know where inflation is, and they'll know where reciprocal tariffs are by July. So if we were sat where Powell was sat, I think we'd say, look, who knows what Trump's going to do? I don't want to preempt him.
Yeah.
And who knows if these tariffs are really going to drive inflation higher? And that's what Tim Rail said this week. He said that the discussion within the Fed board is, okay, we don't want to cut rates until we see employment weakening. It's not at the moment, so it's okay. But how inflationary are tariffs? Some people say short term, others are saying it's more of a problem. So I can't see Powell cutting at all tonight. And I know that Sturmark, one analyst desk from Citi who can see Powell cutting tonight,
just wants to stand out in the headlines. But
Yeah,
we won't hit him too hard, Giles.
But the good news is that if he does cut, that will be a massive surprise, and you'd expect euro dollar to surge, pound dollar to surge.
We can cut that conversation out. I mean, let's just be honest. He's on the sideline. He's on the sideline as ever. And if there's any word he's going to repeat, guess what? The words he keeps saying, the data dependent. We're data dependent. We're data dependent. Essentially telling you that they need to see the market break if they're going to cut. Because in the real conundrum is, like you said, we don't know where these tariffs end up. And if they stay the way they are, yes, it will have an effect on inflation, right? And I think that that's what we need to be looking at. Jobs numbers is definitely a focus, but the jobs number is no scare for the Fed right here. I think the real scare is more just looking to see how these countries react, right? And do deals actually happen? Because we keep getting talks of deals, but no actual deal. And I think that one thing that you started to see, I talked about it yesterday, is that Trump's starting to get hard on the tariff rhetoric again. He started to say that the deals need to be my deals and they need to be the way that I want them, because I think he noticed his power went down with his backing away from the hard stance that he had on tariffs. So countries took that as weakness in the deal making and are trying to push on Trump to be more fair to them than just towards the U.S. So I think we continue to watch that rhetoric, and Jerome is just stuck here. He's literally stuck. He cannot move until he sees what happens with tariffs, and he cannot move here and doesn't need to go to the emergency rate cut because the market's going up. So there's no reason for him to come and save the markets and prop it up. It doesn't need to happen. If we were on, like, let's say the pandemic days and, halting down on down action, like we were now down to 40% down instead of like we did on the bounce, then I'd open the door for that emergency cut. So if there's no cuts coming right now, do you see any possibly even in the year?
I think like there's an index I look at called the Truflation Index, which is based on live US pricing. Can I share my screen? I'll show you it.
Of course, Giles. Go ahead and share the screen there. You can see the present button down at the bottom. You'll see windows and screens there to go ahead and share.
Yeah, I got it. Let me show you this. It's right. So this is by a company called Truflation. Can you see it there?
Yeah, I'll get you up right now. You're up.
And this is based on like millions of live US prices. So the benefit of this index is that it's based on live pricing right now versus old pricing, which is what the CPI data is based on, and it's historical data. And so if you look at the headline for inflation, it's at 1.5%. So yes, we've seen a little uptick since the start of May, but basically inflation has fallen sharply from the start of the year and is now within the Fed's target. So if this index is right, if it's right, then that would indicate that inflation is coming down within the Fed's target range. So I don't see an inflation reason why they can't cut rates. And if the US economy does slow, which if tariffs are going to be here and they're going to be higher than they were before, then the trend we've seen lower in the US jobs market should continue lower. So I would see the Fed cutting once or twice this year if that trajectory continues. So I can see a case for the Fed cutting this year.
Okay, we'll have to wait and see what happens there. Of course, the percentages are moving a little closer towards the June meeting, but there's still a lot to turn there. And I think that it's going to have to wait probably till after that June, because, of course, the 90-day pause is into July. And I think that's really what we're watching now. I think that the market is looking to see what happens to that 90-day. Will it turn to 120 days? Will they push it back? Right? I think that that's leaning more towards it. I mean, Ackman giving a little bit more of that push on Twitter, saying 180-day pause coming next. I think that's what we got to be looking out for to see that happens here. Is Trump saying that he needs more time to make these deals, so he's going to push the pause back a little bit further. I think we can look for that rhetoric. The question is, will the market like that? And I think that that's what we'll be looking to see. Giles, any last words for those traders out there, especially trading moments like this, days like this? Are you more of a sideline trader on days like this, Giles, or are you more active on a day like FOMC?
On a day like this, my basic would be I just go right down to technicals, and I'd be like looking at trading the E-mini based on the 1-minute candle, looking for trap buyers and sellers in the futures market, and I just go with that. And go in line with the overall positive inventory. Is it positive or negative for the day? Go with the trap buyers or sellers in line with the positive inventory. And then, stay quiet after the statement. You've got half an hour. When you've got the press conference, it all changes. So you have the statement, and then it all changes for Powell. So you'll have about 15, 20 minutes trading opportunity after the statement. Then as soon as Powell starts speaking, just forget it. Because if he says one thing that the market doesn't like, you're going to see 10, 20 points just like that and then reverse instantly because he was misunderstood. So other than that, come back tomorrow and read how the market feels about it. That's my take on it.
We'll see what happens there, like always. And thank you for coming on, Giles Coughlin, CMT. Definitely check him out, guys. I'll make sure to throw up his Twitter here as we wrap up. But it was great to have you on, Giles. Have fun and take care out there, my friend.
Mitch, lovely to be with you. Nice to meet you, Michael. Have a very good afternoon, the pair of you. And look after those twins of yours, Mitch.
You know it, Giles. Take care, my friend. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up here. Markets kind of shaking up there, coming down now, 558.77. What's a sign of concern here, Michael? What would be a level of break that you would be at least looking that we could slip a little bit further?
Nothing until after the announcement, right? Unless if we go down 20%, but it's all of this is just, like Giles was mentioning there, it's all nonsense until the press conference, right? Not even the prepared remarks, nothing, right? What does he say when questions are asked? Pay attention to that. Definitely pay attention to the bond market, right? We know that's what controls Trump, so that's what we have to pay attention to.
We'll see what happens there, guys. Like always, stay safe out there. It's overtime. Hit the like for us. Hit subscribe. Like always, we'll keep battling right here on Trade the Pool. We'll see you guys back tomorrow and see what happens with the big bad wolf that is Jerome Powell.